Hello, everybody. And yes, I am not Dad Man Walking 55. I am Mrs. Dad Man Walking 55. Dad Man has something that has happened, and he will be here within pretty soon, I believe. So I'm just going to sit here and chat with JT a little bit. Here we go. Hello, JT. How are you doing tonight?
Hello. I'm doing rather spicy. For some reason, I bought sriracha ramen, and
Ooh.
goodness gracious, great balls of fire.
Yes. Was it like a Korean brand or do you know? Because theirs
I
tend to run a little hot.
I don't know, but it was officially sriracha branded,
Yes.
and this is I've put sriracha in that kind of stuff before, but this is like adding a third of a cup of
Oh,
sriracha into it. I mean, it's
it's
excessive.
spicy.
Yes.
You'll be feeling it tomorrow, shall we say.
Yeah, she'll be coming around the mountain when she comes. Yeah.
Hooray, woohoo.
So,
Oh,
anyway, I did just want to ask how your holiday prep has been going.
um, I'm very, chill when if I feel like decorating, I decorate. If I don't, I don't.
Sure.
We bought a little tree, so we got that decorated. We bought new stockings. Uh, Dad man is Jack Skellington. We went to Five Below and we just had a feast.
Oh, okay.
He's
Yeah, yeah.
Jack Skellington. I'm Sally. Ang is who is Ang? Is I don't remember. Aang? What is it? Who is Aang? I can't remember who Aang is. My brain totally just fuzzed out there. Um, I can't walk over there. Yeah, we've got our oldest is going to be coming in, so I am looking forward to that. We will be able to have,
Cool.
I think, Christmas Eve with them. Both of their families are here, so they will spend Christmas uh, with her family, and then my kid will be over here. So I mean, they'll be as a couple over here, but
Sure.
they'll be on
Sure.
Christmas Eve here. And then we
So,
have breakfast the day before when they leave. So that's
oh,
the buddy
nice.
said, "Oh, let me say hi to the chat." I've just totally ignored them. I'm so he'll say hi to you guys too. Fallout Dave, hello, hello. I hope you're doing good. And we have Buddy Hepburn. Hello, yes, Dad man. Did he take a sack in the end zone for a safety? Yes, he got a phone call that he had to take, and he's going to. He said, "Mrs., can you just start at 11 and I will be there when I can be there?" And I said, "Okay, I can do that." And then he goes,
Yeah.
"Oh, send JT Kirk the link. I forgot to send him the link."
Yeah. I had
So
texted him like 10 seconds before you sent it to me.
yeah,
So I was like, yeah.
he runs in, he goes, can you?" I said, "Oh, yes, I can." And so that's when I didn't know if you were looking, so for my on my thing, that's when I said, "Hey, check my link."
Yep. Yep.
But yeah, he has just walked in. Yeah, I'm glad to give him a chance to get settled in here and stuff. Yes, how is your Christmas plans
Oh
going?
goodness. So I've brought it up a few times on stream over the years. I play in a 19th century brass band,
Uh-huh.
and this time of year we play in like a village, like a 1800s village,
How
um
cool.
that Henry Ford started back in the
Oh,
day. So it has actually buildings like the Wright brothers building. There's a Thomas Edison's actual workshop.
so is it the
All kinds
actual
of.
Wright Brothers building that
Yes.
they moved there? Oh, that
Yes.
is cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So there are some cool historical moments there. Anyway, we play Christmas music from about 6:30 to 10, and it
Oh.
culminates with a visit from Santa and a fireworks
Oh,
show.
how cool
So
is that? Is this
that
place
is
open,
so much fun.
year round? I mean, I know they don't have the Christmas stuff year round,
Um,
obviously, but
I think it is outside of, cold warning days.
right.
Um, However, the Christmas stuff at nights really starts the week after Thanksgiving, and
Oh,
then it runs through Christmas. So these are some of my favorite second job kind of gigs to
oh,
play, because you just get to see the families and, play the music that is sometimes hundreds of years old.
what
A
what
lot
is
of Christmas music is ancient.
Yes. What instrument do you actually play?
So I play what would, I guess, now be considered a baritone. Uh,
Okay.
in the future, or not in the future, I also play the tenor part. It's kind of like a choral arrangement of voices,
Mhm.
and that tenor is like a trombone. So I play the
Right.
brass type parts, but yeah.
Oh, cool. That is so cool. Well, Dad Man has made it. Have you got yourself everything ready and everything? Because I can chat a little bit more about Christmas until you're settled. I don't know if he has his mic on.
I was muted. I'm still no. I
You
tell you
said
what I'd love to hear you two because I'd talked about this once before, but I didn't have time to pull it off. Marching bands in
I was
sports and
Oh,
football. Have
mhm.
y'all both played in a marching band for like high school or college?
for
I
high
played in
school,
high
yes.
school, and my wife played through college. Yeah.
I had to I didn't go to a school that had a sports really and a band, for college, but in high school I did, and it was kinda like you had to. If you were in band, you had to be in the marching band.
Yes.
I
Yep.
didn't really like it's not that I hated the uniforms, our uniforms were just so ugly and so uncomfortable. I mean, aren't they usually? And,
Yes.
and I was on the little kind of plumper side than others, so they didn't fit right. It just was awful.
Mhm. Of
But,
course not. Of course they
you know,
didn't. They don't
the
really fit anyone very
I
well.
I know, unless you're a stick and you have no curves, you have no boobs, you have nothing, you're just a stick, they fit pretty good. But, yeah, they were not my favorite, and they were wool, and we're in Florida,
Oh.
guys. And then they took and they changed them, and they were lovely polyester. Oh my gosh, it was awful. But, it was fun. But I I was not good at memorizing, so I basically kind of faked it most of the time and just held my instrument to my mouth. I played the flute and marched around because you guys knew my memory, and I had to memorize all that stuff. Oh my
Oh,
gosh,
yeah.
yes. I
Oh,
ended
yeah.
up in trouble, and I had to do it.
Yeah, y'all keep talking. I'm getting my tweets out. But yeah,
Now,
Okay.
see,
JT, what was your
I
band
did
experiences like?
marching band in high school, and I went to 2 different high schools. So, one of them was what you would call a competition,
Mhm. We did
um,
those too.
high school. Yeah, so this is a little bit different than what you would think at, like, a sporting event, although we did play our show during the Friday night football games.
Mhm.
This was like a 10-minute show, and you had to go to all kinds of competitions, and you had, like, a color guard and
Yep.
on-site props and a huge
Mhm.
pit orchestra with percussion on the side, and, it was very, very expensive, and usually you never had any fun because you were playing the same 10 minutes of music from like
Ever. Over.
July through November.
Yes.
And at least in my state, the high schools that always get to go to state finals are the ones that are the most well funded.
Mm.
So that's always a letdown because if you were trying really hard, you just didn't have the money for the presentation on the field. So you didn't go
Right.
to states.
Right.
Um,
And that
at
kinda sucks.
Right, right. I did not
Mm.
enjoy that. The other high school was just like, more of like a collegiate band,
Mhm.
and we had 300 people in that band. I mean,
Our
that was a
band was
full
huge.
high school band,
Mhm.
and you march that many kids, that many people out on a field, you basically do a do-si-do with the person next to you because there's nowhere else on the
Right.
field
Yeah, it's
for you to
huge.
be. Yeah.
Well, I have got to find somebody else that has been in a marching band because I do want to talk more about it. Uh,
My biggest
our
thing was
common friend Admiral Teague loves band uniforms, but I'd love to talk to people just about the bands.
I love
Now,
watching the marching bands. I mean, they have oh, ow,
I
that
think about
hurts. Did you hear Ang,
I think about an
was
ice cream scoop.
Ang was getting some ice cream and the scoop slipped and for Dad Man, and the ice cream scoop slipped and, his hand punched him in the stomach,
Oh
so he
man,
was gut punched
I
by the
got
ice
the
cream scoop.
I got the best kid in the world doing that for me, running late, getting ice cream and some hot
Well,
tea for me, and a
Deadman,
great wife who got the stream started and sent you the link.
I'm on the other end of this. I
Yeah.
was telling the missus I'm eating sriracha sriracha. Oh gosh, my head's
Ramen.
just swimming. Thank you. It's so hot. It's like the polar opposite of your ice cream. But
Well, they say if you have stress, that's what you need to get that spicy stuff, and it'll just help. You'll
right,
get to a point where it's just those endorphins.
Did y'all greet the chat yet?
Yes, I did. I
I love that
did.
Buddy
yes.
Hepburn. Yeah, yeah. So in Tuba Christmas, Tuba Christmas. Oh,
Now, Dadman, I will say there was a guy on my floor in the dorms freshman year at Michigan State who was
Mm,
like a political science major,
hmm,
and he did not play in the music department at all, but he auditioned for and played in the Spartan marching band. Now that
right.
is an audition band by
right.
far, so he
Yeah.
must have been pretty good. He played the sousaphone, and let me
Um,
tell you, for like the one college credit you got for that class, you were out there like 2 hours every day at
Wow.
like 3:30 or 4 o'clock
Oh,
practicing,
yeah.
wow.
just without fail. I mean, it was serious business.
Oh,
So
yeah,
Yeah.
and they didn't get the little kudos that, like, the football players do.
right, right.
Buddy,
They're like,
Buddy said it. Buddy said his high school didn't have a marching band, but it was in symphonic band, orchestra, and jazz bands. He does a symphony orchestra and marching band now, but the marching band is super informal. What are you part of the Stanford marching band and with all the crazy dresses and stuff? But yeah,
I love watching,
yeah.
marching band competitions when you have some of the,
I told you
the
I'd take you
elite
to the
of the
movie
elite.
theater. I told you I'd take you with those Phantom events.
I
I'd take
know,
you.
I keep forgetting about
Yeah.
them.
But
No,
Fallout Dave said, just as long as I don't start out with one time at band camp. Hey, listen, I got to sing the cool jerk tonight from the shower scene at Home Alone 2 with a bad voice, which gave me even more ability to sing the Uncle's bad song. So hey, yeah,
Yep,
JT.
you did good, I
oh,
was
what I
proud of
was
you.
going to say was it's to the point where I think enough people have been in marching band over the decades, and the halftime games are so pathetic. I mean, name the station, name the network. I don't care who sits on those panels during a football
Mhm.
game. Those halftime shows are so pathetic. They don't tell you anything you don't already know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're boring. At least in the lower third, play the marching band. Give people
yeah,
a reason not to leave for 20 minutes and go to the bathroom and
Oh,
make a
yeah.
phone call and all
well,
the
so,
rest.
Because some of
something.
them they're awesome. They're
Yes.
Mhm.
absolutely awesome.
Well, I know you don't pay JT, but Mrs. With ESPN, some of their off networks, they actually show the halftime shows.
Mhm.
So you can get it. But I'm like JT is why not just play the bands? It's better than watching the talking heads. They justify their cost, their salaries.
And
Yeah.
as much as I don't like Ohio State, whew, that spice is catching up. Sorry, folks. Ohio State has a great
You gotta be
marching band.
careful with that spice though,
Do you
JT.
need some
Yeah,
milk?
I've got Mountain Dew.
There you go, bury it with soda. Yes. But yeah, Ohio
Your
State.
tea and ice cream is coming.
Yeah. In the tradition of dotting the I, that was always something.
Yeah,
Yes.
but they are
So
pretty good. I mean,
yeah.
they are pretty good. I think they've so uniforms, but yeah,
Well, we're gonna have fun tonight. Who knows what kind of show? My voice, JT's sriracha. So we'll say, Mrs. Anything. Why don't you plug yourself again to for your stuff coming up with you and your Ko-fi before you leave? Thank you for doing this for me, Mrs.
Oh,
To
no
get me
problem,
going.
no problem. Tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., I'll be doing my morning musings with Mrs. Dadman Walking. Um, it's what I do Monday through Friday, unless I have a sore throat and then I cancel. But that will be tomorrow at 10 a.m. Tomorrow
Yeah,
night,
that's
we are going to be doing, um, tonight we're going to be doing, tomorrow night we're going to be reviewing the movie Scrooged with Bill Murray. I watched it a long time ago and I really really enjoyed it. And so I'm watched it to see if it still if it aged well. If it aged like a fine wine or if it aged like that dirty sock that you have that you find underneath the couch. So, we will talk about that tomorrow, and then, the next day on Thursday, we'll be reviewing, Klaus, which is on Netflix, and, Friday, Deadman is going on his channel, we're gonna be doing, a review of or talking about Christmas traditions with Daisy Blossom Flower Child. I muted Dad Man. I'll unmute him now. You are now unmuted.
Thank you. Sorry, Ang brought that stuff.
I
The
know.
ice cream
I know.
is so good on my throat right now. But hey, let me say hello to the
Thank
last
you,
son of
JT,
Kay.
for that. So on that note, I'm going to say you guys go talk football. I would
Hey.
go play ball, but that's the wrong sport.
It doesn't matter. We talk Christmas vacation, like Aunt,
Yes.
play ball.
Yes. So you guys have
And
a
by the way,
wonderful time.
thank you, JT, for putting the Mrs.
Yes,
Ko-Fi
thank
link.
you.
Certainly.
One time or monthly donations and held to last son of K. Yes, the Ohio State University. I think everybody can agree on that one.
Yes.
Yep.
So okay.
Oh yeah.
Goodbye. The
Bye.
Mrs. Dadman Walking 55 says hasta luego.
Make sure you're still
I don't know.
subscribed to her. So hey.
Yes. And I will see you guys tomorrow morning. Bye.
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 But the one thing is, you may not agree. He's the blue and maize.
Yeah. Well, the missus went to U of M for grad school, so
What? You married a Michigan lady?
No, not at the beginning, but later on.
Oh wow.
That's how she did me like that,
Wow.
I was like, we can afford the gas for you to drive up to Michigan State,
yeah.
this summer. Anyway.
That's okay. All right.
So, my tagline is early fourth quarter onside kicks only. I realize it's the wrong league, but I wanted to vent my frustration in a little passive aggressive way. So there we go. Anyway,
passive aggressive rules. It's the way we accountants do anything these days.
Well, yeah, of course. Shall we do college football?
Yeah, we shall. Although I will say one last thing on passive aggressive. I just love the way everybody accuses me of being passive aggressive, and I'm like, you don't hear yourself, or
I thought you were aggressive.
I can't win.
Aggressive.
Yeah, it doesn't matter either. It doesn't matter if I say what I think I'm wrong. If I don't say what I think I'm wrong, and it doesn't get any better when it's family either. So,
of course not.
But hey, all right. Let me do one last tweet out here. So let's see. Yes, we shall get into that. Let's see. But thank you, everybody.
Talk about Miami here. This is some hot weather in my mouth. Whew.
Yeah, exactly. Why no sriracha? Because I'm surprised, considering that you got
so it's like this, Dad, man. Okay, you know how you go to like a Thai restaurant or a Vietnamese restaurant, and I'll even go to the ones that are sanctioned by the King of Thailand for being good places to eat.
Right.
And I had Thai coworkers who are like, yeah, that one's good. Okay, I'll go in there, and I say, I'll just pick whatever. Pad Thai extra hot. Okay. And it comes out there and it's still not hot enough. I'm like, really? I know you're looking at me and you're making a judgment based on what I look like, but I want it extra hot. Right. So then, you look at the ramen packets, and I haven't had ramen in forever. It's like, I'm going to buy a, pack of 5 or whatever. But I don't believe them when they say hot.
Right.
So I'm going to get the one that says extra hot with an exclamation point. And boy, howdy.
Well, they weren't lying.
This did not disappoint.
I had a boss that we had a wing place down here that had one that was so hot that they made people sign waivers because they said that they had people carted out by the rescue. And he didn't believe them. They didn't make him sign a waiver, but instead of tasting it, he put a whole slather of he poured it on half of his sandwich without tasting it, because he said, I've never met a hot sauce I can't handle. Well, he had difficulties finishing that sandwich, and he was cheap tightwad. He was going to finish it. So in the second half, he only used it sparingly. But they said that, and he was going through water at the restaurant. They said all afternoon he was going through water. He was sweating at work.
Well, water isn't going to do anything.
I know, exactly. But it was like, at least he didn't have access to milk or bread. So,
well, I've done a food challenge, 20 hot wings, nothing to eat, nothing to drink. And I did it with a friend from Ukraine. And because he was like, wanted to prove, he was a man just like everybody else. And I said, okay, wear these gloves, because if you got contacts later, You're going to thank me. And
Yeah.
it's the kind of hot where, I mean, you're just sweating like it's 104 outside.
Yeah. No, I understand that.
And your tongue goes numb after the fourth wing.
Well, buddy
Depending on
said
how fast
prefab
you
like
eat.
Homer's wax coated tongue. That's a good thing, buddy.
Yeah. All right, folks. Well, we'll get to college football here in just a minute.
Yep.
We're just taking our time. We're just
I
having
just
fun
gotta
hanging
get
out,
the roll up going. Last son of Kate said my high school dropped band marching band by the time he went to school there, but still had all the instruments. The school would bring matching band. I would bring back marching band years after I graduate. Yep, exactly. Well, I went to a school that was college preparatory, had no sports, and guess what happened? A couple years after I left,
they got
sports. No, they were not good, but they still added sports. Exactly, buddy. Who cares about football? We got band geeks in the house.
100%.
I truly want to do a full stream on bands, and I kicked that idea with you a while back, but I was looking to have somebody other than just you and the missus. I'll keep my ear out because that's a stream I do. If not, maybe next year before the start of football season or something, because that's really, I like to know a lot more about what goes into the steps, the cadences, and they're very impressive. That's why I like watching the good bands at the Macy's Parade, is to see how they're in rhythm and time and everything else. So.
Well, if you want to see the hardest of the hardcore, I'll put the link here in the chat. There's a league called Drum Corps International, DCI, and they might have something down there near you. I do not know.
Okay.
But they have a schedule, and they have different groups, and these groups are no joke. Just absolutely no joke.
Wow. Buddy says his dad Brian still practices at 1.5 to 2 hours a day. No, I don't know if you heard it the other night, but Mrs. got my mom's accordion and says it's still in good shape. She wants to learn how to play it. So
nice.
Yeah, exactly. All right. We got 8 on YouTube. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel again because we're back down to 667. We're trying to stay off that 666 again. And follow us over on Twitch. We are on Twitch too tonight. So that's what his dad marched, Santa Clara Vanguard. All right.
Nice.
All right. So let's take a look at the bowl games.
His dad is serious. So you got to give his dad some big time respect there.
Hey, his dad gets a ton of respect on my channel because he beat chess. He's the first one that gave me lyrics to the Unicorn song. Yep.
Nice.
And I almost had it memorized at one point, but life happens. All right. Well, folks, glad to have y'all with us. Yes, we're talking college football tonight. Again, I got to shout out to my wife, Mrs. Deadman Walking 55, for coming in and getting this started while I had to deal with some personal business that had to be dealt with tonight. And JT, of course, coming in, be patient with me pushing the stream back. So maybe we'll get some of the night owls in tonight. And we have all the time my voice holds up, JT. So we'll see how this goes.
Okay. And I got a full night's worth of sleep last night for the first time in heck, I don't know when. So
and you don't have work tomorrow.
Correct. Although, kids usually get me up before that alarm ever went off anyway.
we got a meeting at the office. They've scheduled a Teams meeting for office-wide training around the state. 1 hour.
And you got to go in for that?
I got to go to the office. Yep. But they did decide to use it as a day to have a quote Christmas get together. So,
well, those are always fun.
Yeah.
Did you ever see the picture I had up on X of my ugly Christmas sweater?
I don't know. I may
it was
have
all Star Trek. It was. Gosh.
Yeah. I don't know.
Anyway, I'm sure you'll think of something if it's that kind of party.
Yeah, it is. We got a gift card for one thing, and of course, the gag gift is something Mrs. told me she's interested in. So it's like she's like, if you come on with both of them, I don't care. Like I might do that. So, well, we got 34 bowl games listed. Yes, there are more than 34 bowl games, but we are, as you know, the first round of the college football playoffs happen at the higher seed school site. And then quarterfinal semis go into existing bowl games. We'll take a look at those in a bit. So And there are actually, I think, 36, 37 games, bowl games. A couple have already been played that we've kind of just written off. They were not really good games.
Well,
One
my
might have
my
been.
poor Western Michigan Broncos
Mhm.
lost.
Oh yeah, let's take a look. We'll take a look at that real
uh,
quick.
Yeah, I wrote them off already. I saw when we were setting up our predictions that we'd already missed one,
Yeah,
and I saw
yeah,
it was them, and I was like, oh
yeah.
well. In other news,
I know exactly how it happened. Well, we'll take a look at it real quick. Before we get there, I just got to bring that because I have it over on another site real quick. Let me see if the computer will write it up. Because I tell you, I've tried to make it before where I'd watch every bowl game out there, but that was
gee,
years ago. Now I don't know how it's possible this day and age. I mean, it's just 30 like because
it's
I've
to
got
the point.
34, I got 34, and I think there were two on Saturday, and there's one tonight. But yeah, go ahead, JT.
It's to the point where, like, if you're some big time um, person that puts up wagers on stuff all day, I don't even think you know diddly about most of these games. It's
Well,
that kind of just oversaturation
that's the type
that
of thing that
we're at.
reminds me of the movie Rat Race, where they're betting on who would throw up on a plane first, or
Yep,
they
yep.
bet on everything, and it's like, okay. On Saturday, the bowl season kicked off with the Cricket Celebration Bowl. Jackson State beat South Carolina State 28-7. And the IS4 Salute the Veterans Bowl, South Alabama does defeat Western Michigan 30-23. Tonight, there is one game going on. It's Memphis versus Virginia. We actually have a big matchup here tonight. Let me check on the score right now. We got
It's kind of a done deal.
no, it is still live though. 35-17, Memphis over West Virginia. Let's see. Also, what have I? Let me see. I believe I've heard Rich Rodriguez's name tied with West Virginia. Did they actually hire him, or is that a rumor?
Oh, he was the head coach at West Virginia and kind
Yeah,
of put them on the map. And
yeah.
then when the university, the I was going to slander them, the University of Michigan. Okay. They hired them. They hired Rich Rod because Lloyd
Yep.
Carr winning 10, 11 games every year wasn't good enough.
Right.
They had to beat Ohio State and go to a natty every single year. So they got rid of Lloyd Carr, brought in Rich Rod, and then he was the one that lost to App State. And he was mocked relentlessly with Take Me Home Country Roads.
Well, guess what? That's what this article says here. Take Me Home Country Roads. Welcome back, Rich Rodriguez.
Oh, did they really bring him back?
They brought him back. I heard about this the other day.
Wow.
Just to confirm it. Yeah. He's winner of 190 games and 12 outright or shared conference or division championships, named the 36th head football coach at West Virginia University. So there you go. Hey, you can't get any worse than what they've had the last few years. One of the things specifically about this, I'm not a fan of Bill and Napier, even though they're in a bowl game, and I think these are just fake victories they've had recently. Everybody keeps clamoring about it. He's got all these recruits. I don't like his game day coaching, but one of the things that I heard talked around when you have Rich Rodriguez hired, Dan Mullen takes the job at UNLV, that what it seems like that Florida probably positioned itself of there's not a good, attractive candidate that they wanted. So that, because look who's getting hired this year. It's retreads. So,
right.
I'd take Dan Mullen back in a freaking heartbeat. I think they ran him off way too early. But see, Lane Kiffin, who was one of the ones I liked at first, really, he proved it. James Franklin is another one we'll talk about. Guys that cannot win a big game or games when they matter. But hey,
and Michigan had those coaching issues because they had a guy that couldn't play by the rules who had to flee to the NFL. So, look who you're rolling up against, other programs for a good coach.
Yep, I gotcha. So, all right. So that's the latest that game. Yeah, we won't even look at the stats behind that since we're late. But I tell you what, folks, I hope that y'all join us Saturday night. We'll start at 8. JT will be with me for as long as he can. We're going to talk about, well, I'll repeat this a little bit later, but for those of you who have to leave, we will talk about what has happened in the playoffs up to that point, and we will be live while Tennessee and Ohio State are playing. And stay around. I got some special news stories related to that game when we get to it. All right. So, of course, this is not the Mrs. channel. You get cheap accountant's graphics, which is this Excel spreadsheet.
Could you kick that zoom level up in Excel?
I'll try
just a
to.
smidge.
I'll do what I can, JT. Let's see. Uh-oh.
And then double click. Yep.
There you go.
Awesome.
All right. Hopefully, I'll see if I can get more out of it. There we go. I'm going to make this sucker as big as I can. More D with a C would be proud of me using a spreadsheet. Is that better? I mean, my screen sucks.
It is. Yeah. It's better for me. Yep. And I'm checking it out over on.
Yep. So
it's readable now.
We got the Scooters Coffee Frisco Bowl tonight, which Memphis is well ahead of. It featured American versus Big 12. I tell you what, really, one thing as we look through this list of where's the Vissy Calc? I did not see Vissy Calc. It's possible maybe I missed one going through manually, but hey, we shall see.
No, Vissy Calc, I think, is a program.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm old. I work with Excel. I stay with what I know. But speaking of, there's some stories about some of our bowl games that we got coming up. Of course, on the 18th tomorrow, we got the Boca Raton Bowl, where Western Kentucky plays James Madison. That could be an interesting game. James Madison is the team that scored 70 on North Carolina earlier this year. It's down in Boca Raton, Florida, featuring the Conference USA and the Sun Belt. The Art of Sport LA Bowl in Inglewood, California. Cal, as not a Pac-12 team, it's the ACC playing the aforementioned UNLV team that finished 10-3. ACC versus Mountain West. I'll mention this now because if we diverge into the topic later, UNLV, if you remember, has a quarterback that started them at 4-0, but then transferred and decided to sit out before that fourth game because he was promised money on the NIL, and he's claiming the school reneged, and they said, we paid you what we could, or we said, first problems this year of the NIL, and now we've seen a lot more floodgates open after the season, and we'll talk more about that. This game features the ACC and the Mountain West. On the 19th, the RNL Carrier Bowls. And JT, I'm going to go through these, and what I want to do
is you want me to read some?
Yeah, if you go through, yeah, and what I want to do, I want to go through the listing, and then we'll come back picking on certain games as we find them of interest, not necessarily every game. So go ahead. You can start with RNL Carriers Bowl.
Sure. So on the 19th, we have RNL Carriers New Orleans Bowl in beautiful New Orleans. That's Georgia Southern 8-4 versus Sam Houston at 9-3. Coming up next after that, we have a couple games on the 20th. We have the Staff DNA Cure Bowl. That kind of sounds like maybe an infection you don't want. That's in Orlando. I think I know that stadium. Playing the University of Ohio, not Ohio State, but just OU, playing against Jacksonville State at 9-4.
There was something I want to say with that, because this year it's the Staff DNA. Last year I thought it had a different name.
It very well could have. I don't recognize that name at all. And that is a MAC team. Ohio's in the MAC versus what is that, Conference USA? And then the next game we have is in Tampa. So a pair of state of Florida games.
JT, this is what it was. In the 2023 game and a year or two before that, It was avocados from Mexico Cure Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I wanted to get that because we talked about it on a previous stream when Buddy had mentioned. Yeah, it's the avocados from Mexico Bowl
Gosh.
before this year. So you go from a food people, well, if you eat the pit, I guess it could kill you, to something you need, well, medical treatment
Yeah.
on. But,
Yeah. Well, next it'll be like, Big Bob's, exchange and trade consignment shop bowl or something.
well, do you remember
Anyway.
the Poulan Weed Eater Bowl?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I do. Anyway, let's see here. So we have the is it the Gasparilla Bowl or the Gasparilla Bowl?
Gasparilla. Yep.
Okay. And that is in Tampa. Tulane 9-4 versus Florida 7-5. And I know this is one you'll want to talk about later, Dad Man.
Yeah.
But you have American Conference versus SEC, which I believe is the first SEC competition of the year. So that's probably the first game a lot of us are going to tune into to watch based on the competition thus far. Then you get a few days off, and you're going into next week on the 23rd, Myrtle Beach Bowl. And that will be obviously in Conway, South Carolina. Coastal Carolina versus UTSA. And I have no idea where UTSA is even from. I'll just fess up. I don't know who that team is. I've heard of Coastal Carolina. So, I don't know if we'll even say more about this after saying it exists, to be honest with you. The next one, famous Idaho Potato Bowl in Boise.
Bluefield Bowl. The
Bluefield Bowl. Yeah, they're playing at Boise State in Northern Illinois, who is a dangerous and respectable team out of the MAC. Don't ever count them out. And then Fresno State.
Who handed Notre Dame their one loss this year.
Right.
Yep.
Exactly. And they'll come up and do that every once in a while. This isn't the first time they've done that.
But then 5 losses. 5 losses after beating Notre Dame on the road.
Yeah.
Anyway.
They're taking on Fresno State, 6-6 from the Mountain West. So, don't know, buddy. Maybe you're going to watch that one if you're a Fresno State fan, possibly. Well, so if you haven't, gotten a chance to see anything because you've been too busy Christmas shopping on on Christmas Eve, rather, the Hawaii Bowl in Honolulu, you have South Florida taking on San Jose State. And I'll say I have a bad taste in my mouth from this one. Michigan State played Hawaii in the Hawaii Bowl maybe 20 years ago now, 15, 20 years ago. And the refs were a little too home field advantage to the point where Michigan State basically said they were never going back to that bowl ever again.
Wow, that's bad.
Yeah. So, let's see. Buddy, maybe you're watching that San Jose State game. Let's see. That one might actually be decent football to watch on Christmas Eve.
One thought I had with that is South Florida is pretty good. It could be a good game. San Jose State, it's got a good quarterback. But I miss the Sun Bowl being on Christmas Eve. Growing up, the Sun Bowl in El Paso was always that Christmas Eve afternoon game. So,
and Fallout Dave says, I know Dad Man's waiting for that Snoop Dogg Bowl.
We're getting to it.
The other thing I'll say about this game is I don't know how many people are actually going to watch this because the kickoff is 8 p.m. Eastern. And I realize that's noon or 11 a.m. in Hawaii. Like you can't do it much earlier. But 8 p.m., you got people going to church, going to dinner, maybe getting ready to go to church, maybe they're doing gifts at that time. That's a little bit too close into Christmas. So,
well, that's why the Sun Bowl was
there.
The Sun Bowl game was like a 3:30 game in Texas. 2:30.
Right.
Made it more reasonable time in the day, but
exactly. So moving on, Christmas Day, nothing. The 26th is the next one in Detroit, Michigan. The game above.
You're going to that one, aren't you, JT?
No, I don't know anyone going to that game. That game used to be like the Meineke Quick Glue Bowl. It was yeah, this might have been the same name last year. No one going to this one. Well, I take that back. Pittsburgh is playing Toledo. Pittsburgh is about 2.5, 3 hours from Ford
Right.
Field. Toledo's only an hour.
But
So at
honestly,
least they have two
but as a
teams. Mhm.
as a Pitt fan, would you really drive that far to see that game? And I asked because Pitt was a team that was on the verge of the ACC championship game, and then the last 3 weeks of the season just like fell off the planet.
Well, yeah, and that's the other thing too. Like I traveled to bowl games as a student, but that was because we went to Florida, right?
Right.
No one from Pittsburgh is going to have Detroit's nice and warm going through their mind at that time. And Toledo's a small school. Even if they do travel pretty well, Ford Field is probably going to have the upper deck closed for this one.
No, I hate when they do that.
Well, I mean, to put it bluntly, no one in Detroit is going to care about this game.
JT, you can go. Yes. They do have the ticket. I'm looking at a ticket market, and East End Zone Row GA you could get for $19.
Oh,
now lower level along the field it's 7. See, this is the problem. Even like when we have a game here, anything on the sides, it's like $79 to $99 to $129,
which is sticker price. That's not aftermarket. That's just the sticker price.
But it's like, why would you pay that kind of money to go to an exhibition game? And
for two lousy teams. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, 7-5 in the MAC is nothing to be proud of.
See, I tell you what, if I had a chance to go to our local bowl game at $19 or even $25, $30, I'd consider it. But what they want for these tickets for these games is just
yep.
Which gets into the bigger issue about the viability of the bowl games. So, but
yeah.
So anyway, said the RoboCop bowl would
if they had a ton of merch and all that thing would sell out. Trust me, that thing would sell out. Get a giant one of those robots out in front of the stadium next to the tiger or the lion out there. Yeah. Okay, so moving on because we have a long list of these dang things. The Rate Bowl, RATE for the YouTube folks out there.
Yes, exactly. Got Mrs. had me re-spell it the other night, and what'd you say? It's like clear.
Yes, like what is your rate of speed?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay,
those
so
that's prices though, JT.
I know.
I mean, like, would you even pay $79 to go see Michigan State play in a game like that?
I know enough people would.
But would you?
No.
Okay.
No. The day after Christmas? Are you kidding me? No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Let's see. So the Rate Bowl in Phoenix, Rutgers, who whooped on my team, but still is not a good team, is facing off against Kansas State. So you got a Big 10, Big 12 matchup. I will be rooting for Kansas State, and hopefully it's on my TV. I think that one's actually one that might be kind of earlier and exciting.
I wish Wes Cagle was here, though.
Yes.
Yeah. Rutgers, the State University of New Jersey. And that's a case where Greg Schiano went home. He turned Rutgers around back in the 2000s and they had some really good seasons, and he left. Now he's back. He's actually got them. You may laugh at 7-5, but folks, for Rutgers, see, that's where as a Gator fan with 2 national titles and Heisman Trophy winners, that 7-5 is not acceptable. But at Rutgers,
it is
the party.
It is.
And then you would pay $79 to go to a bowl game, probably. But
and what people don't really get about why Rutgers is in the Big Ten, or maybe they didn't think of it, is when they were absorbed into the Big Ten along with Maryland. Those teams, well, Maryland was more of a football program, but they were seen as basketball schools, and they wanted TV market out in DC and out in the greater New York tri-state area up that way. So they were never really the football program, so to speak, but their games have improved quite a bit since joining the Big Ten.
Yeah,
It's been actually quite interesting to see how that developed.
But I think Shiano, I think with the head coach, you got to have a head coach. I mean
Mhm.
that's where it stems from. But and see, they're one of the schools that, and I've said it like with Florida. If you're settling for mediocre to average, you're just going to fall behind more and more. I mean, Shiano can actually do something at the program. He's shown he can before. And especially with these, what is it, 18 teams in the Big Ten?
Oh,
It's with that many teams, you can't afford to fall in the back of the pack.
right,
And now what
right.
we're seeing and we can touch this either tonight or another time, is how these players are just up and transferring now. And we will have to talk about it because it will affect some of our playoff games. But
Oh,
I'll
well,
kick that.
I didn't
Kick
text
to
you
it.
because I knew you were streaming earlier, but there was just 3 more players at Michigan State that either committed or left in the
Okay.
transfer portal.
Well, we'll
And
talk
I'm
about
sitting
that.
here going, I
Yeah.
don't even know week to week who's playing on this team next year.
Which is a
It's bad.
danger to college football, the
Yeah,
tradition and stuff. And that's one of the things I like. I don't know who the Gators roster is. I mean, I don't know who'll be there next year. And
yep.
it's beyond just starting quarterback, but we're seeing starting quarterbacks leaving and backups. Let me not spoil the thunder for later, but we'll talk about that when we come to the national playoff because there's a couple huge stories in that area. But all right, let me shut up. You did
So,
a fine job,
sure,
JT.
no
Big Ten
problem.
versus the
Well,
Big
thank you.
12 in that one. So, all right.
Let's see. Moving on, the last one for the 26th. Then I don't know what the hell this is. The 68 Ventures Bowl. I don't know why they stopped one short of having that many ventures in a bowl, but whatever. And that's in Mobile or Mobile.
Mobile. It's
Mobile.
Mobile.
Okay. And
Yeah.
then so that's Arkansas State, basically the home team there at 7-5 from the Sun Belt Conference, playing Bowling Green from the MAC. Now, Bowling Green, they're the perfectly stereotypical to a T MAC team that is a paycheck game for your Big Ten or your SEC or your, well, I guess those are like the only conferences left kind of games. But against lesser opponents, maybe they'll show up, maybe they won't. This is one I would not be betting the farm on because
Right.
this was going to be unpredictable.
By the
I
way,
will say, go ahead.
I'm instead of looking up individual game ticket sites, I'm just going with what ESPN says. Uh, the Boise, Idaho, the Potato Bowl, it
Yep.
says tickets low as $23. South Florida, San Jose State, and Hawaii, low as $36. Oh, I don't know how they come up with this because I saw, like I said, that ticket market I had on the ESPN site. It has for tickets. Tickets as low as $7 at Ford Field. I mean, like that's not what I saw when I went to do a search. I don't know
Oh,
where they get these numbers from.
if it's not Ticketmaster, I don't know where
I
they're
don't
pulling
know.
it from.
But
But
Arkansas Bowling Green is low as $11.
yeah, and the other thing I was going to say about that is you drive through Bowling Green going south on 75 to get to Florida, and I think they're building up that school to have a better field because I mean it was barely above a high school field the last time I've been down through that way in Ohio, and their Chipotle there is not very good.
Well, their
So
uniforms look like Chipotle with the brown and orange the way they do it. But
yeah. So all right, moving on. One of the companies that has more money than they know what to do with, the Lockheed Martin Armed Forces Bowl in Fort Worth. And interesting that they are hosting Oklahoma, who I would have not expected to end the season at 6-6 against a 9-3 Navy.
well, it took a big ass kicking of Alabama to get them bowl eligible, though.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, we can talk about that game later.
Yeah, exactly. So we will.
Yeah.
But Navy SEC American matchup here. That's so hard to get used to the academies in a conference.
Right.
So,
right.
Right.
Then followed up by Birmingham Bowl, I believe. Yeah, that is Birmingham, Alabama. And that is Georgia Tech 7-5 versus Vanderbilt 6-6. Middle of the pack Georgia Tech, or middle of the pack ACC and SEC teams. I'm kind of rooting for Vanderbilt on this one, but I honestly think both of these two teams underperformed this year. So I don't know how hungry either one is going to be. It's always one of these weird things where you see these barely 500 or one game above that teams becoming bowl eligible. And you wonder how much either one of these teams really even wants to go. The seniors probably want it, but
probably on Vanderbilt's side, there's more, because they've been so bad they've had a couple years with no conference wins, and nobody saw them coming out with 6 wins. But see, they are also a team that had what could have been. They lost to Georgia State, could have been 7-5. They also let Texas escape. They actually had a couple of close losses, but down the stretch, they were fading against the good competition.
Yes.
I think once defenses solved Diego Pavia, that shut down their offense quite a bit.
Right. Okay. Well, to keep things moving on, because we have a lot more games down the list.
Oh, yeah.
We have the AutoZone Liberty Bowl in Memphis, and that's an 8-4 Texas Tech versus a 6-6 Arkansas, which is a Big 12 SEC matchup. This was a game I looked at and said, I don't know if I agree with these two teams playing each other.
Well, I tell you what, I'd love to go to that bowl game because I just like to go back to Memphis and Uncle Lou's fried chicken. So
yeah, I remember you went twice on that trip.
Yes, we did.
On the way in and the way out.
Well, we couldn't have planned it any better. We were near the thing, and we realized we were going to make a freaking loop. And the loop went right to go to Shiloh, took us right through Memphis again. It was wonderful.
Nice. Well, that one, I don't know if we'll come back and visit it again, but I'll just say I think maybe the game will be a better one than what I'm expecting, but I don't know. Texas Tech, I used to give more respect than I have lately. Why is an 8-4 team going up against a 6-6 team?
Because we'll see that, because I'll tell you why things are happening. I mean, I'll go into more, but we got 34. We got so many bowl games, nearly 40, and
we're not halfway through yet,
and everybody's got to be at least 500 at 6-6. But we know that's not happening.
Right. So keeping things moving. This one might interest Buddy. The Direct TV Holiday Bowl in San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
That's a 9-3 Syracuse versus an 8-4 Washington State. So that's ACC versus Pac-2.
But it's technically the Pac-12 still.
Wow. Okay.
It truly is the Pac-12. Now they're gaining a few more teams next year, but every team that they've added from the Mountain West, it's going to be, they might as well call it the Pac State Conference, because every friggin' team that I've seen so far has the word state in their name.
Yeah. Oh, I bet.
Oh. So
in that one, it might be a good game to watch. I'm not so sure. I don't know why you would fly from Syracuse to go to that game.
Well, tell you what, I think with the way Syracuse's offense is, and they had the Ohio State transfer, Kyle McCord, and they're letting him throw the ball over the place. Syracuse is a legitimate team. Washington State is still, unlike Oregon State, high-powered on offense. But I believe I just heard their quarterback's transferring. We'll get into that issue. I believe in this game because we picked these before a lot of news came out, but I have to double check that real quick while you take the next game.
Sure.
But this is a game we can come back to later. This might be a game that I watch depending on what time it is.
Right. It'll be late in the day because it's in San Diego, so it's not going to be like a 10 a.m. game on the East Coast. The one thing I will say is it's a huge bummer for the Syracuse students, because they're not going to be able to afford that plane ticket to San Diego.
But listen, they don't travel anyway. Those Yankees up in the Northeast don't travel. The 1 year Boston College got to the ACC championship game in Jacksonville, I mean, the whole freaking upper decks were empty. We refused to move down to quote upgrade. But screw that. We got our own. then that's when they started blocking off the upper deck, which I hated because I want to sit up there. You staff it and all this stuff. We had our own private bathroom, our private concessions. Because
Yep.
it's like they might have had 20 people in the damn Boston College marching band, and this was when Matt Ryan was the quarterback. They were good,
Oh,
but the
yeah.
fans didn't travel. I mean, it was all the Virginia Tech people there. So,
Jeez.
I mean, I would be mad to have Syracuse. They're not going to
Right.
draw for that ball.
And usually tickets
On the
from like
field,
New
it
York
should
to
be good.
Florida are pretty cheap because you
Even
can go
that-
direct from like New York City to Orlando or something.
Even that
like
time of year,
right?
though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Mm. Well, that
I mean,
shows
unless it's
ticket-
on Christmas Day.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, that game, it says tickets as low as $53. So,
Mhm. So anyway, the next one, SRS Distribution. Don't know who they are, but they have the Las Vegas Bowl. 6-6 USC versus Texas A&M. And this might be the first Big Ten SEC matchup on the year. I think it is. I think it is. And I don't know if I will even bother because the USC is still not a Big Ten team to me.
right.
And it's anybody's game. Sure. Why not? Can't really say much about it. I tried to look into some of these Big Ten SEC matchups because I think those are the two biggest conferences that you have to really see some really tough competition. But even then, like you said, there's 18 or something like that Big Ten teams, and when most of them make a bowl game, how do you really know?
Yeah.
How do you really know? Were you going to share something else real quick?
Yeah, I'm updating
Okay.
something. Yeah, so I just want to, when we come
Let's
back to
see
the
here.
other
Well, real
games-
quick, while he's doing that, folks, I know we kind of started in an irregular fashion, so we did not really say to get out there and hit the like button for us if you could, please, and subscribe if you haven't. So I know
Yes,
there's some
well, I
familiar
don't want to go
faces, but-
backwards.
Mhm.
We keep
Exactly.
getting stuck on 666 all the time.
Yeah. Somebody's got a fake secondary account that they just subscribe and unsubscribe from you.
Well,
so
I
you stay
think
locked
YouTube-
in
I
on
think-
that number.
I think YouTube's getting onto that because,
Well, yeah.
it's like, it's just like, it's crazy. But hey, well, you guys are here. That's what's important. So, all right. So we got the Wasabi Fenway Bowl, right?
Yes.
We got 2 football games played in baseball fields.
Really? Oh, it's at Fenway?
That's at Fenway, and the other's at Yankee Stadium.
Why? Okay.
Well, we got to doctor up a baseball field. Is a gimmick.
Okay. So the first one you have Boston against UConn. Well, sorry, it's in Boston. You have UConn versus UNC. You have another one of these 8-4 versus 6-6 matchups. UConn is, of course, independent, and UNC is an ACC team. Not much more to say on that one. You have Bad Boy Mowers Pinstripe Bowl. Now, that's something you put on a T-shirt. That one is in the Bronx.
Mm-hmm.
Boston College, 7-5 versus a 6-6 poopy Nebraska team.
I mean, everybody's made a big deal about Rule. Was it Matt Rule? And it's like, well, still very average. I mean, I guess that's.
Yep.
I guess at least they're in a bowl, but I mean, you talk about teams that have fallen, like the historic nature of that program.
Well,
and it's may never recover in the Big 12. Big 10.
And there's been a lot of scholarship over the years, I guess, now with these teams having moved for a while. And you get schools like Nebraska, you get schools like maybe Oklahoma to a little bit lesser extent, but these teams are not going to have a great chance at being conference champions. And a lot of that has to do with distance to travel per recruit. If you're in Nebraska, you're driving hours and hours and hours just to get to these recruits, where the population density in states like Ohio and Michigan or Florida is just so much higher. You know, you can go and see 3 recruits in a day because they're all 15 minutes away. right?
They used to, the difference I think now is television and marketing and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Because in in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, really, maybe even the mid 90s. Hey, people want to go play for Tom Osborne. They didn't care Nebraska
Mhm.
was in the middle of cornfields or nowhere. These players, they could attract them and get the top athletes, but for the last, what is it, 30 years, they've been 25 years, they've not been successful getting the top talent.
Right.
And it started from, and they can never replace Tom Osborne. And the times have changed, but you look at Oklahoma, they managed to keep some semblance of success with the right coach. But I mean, that's what I worry with Florida, a team like Nebraska, and that Florida's in the middle of the state, has all these advantages. I mean, at some point, if you don't win, you end up becoming Tulane and UConn
Yes.
and teams like that, and you're like, it's not really what we want or expect out of a big major team that has a history of
Well,
Heisman winners
in
and national titles. So I can only imagine what Nebraska fans feel like.
well, but and you got to think, yes, they are in Florida with a lot of local recruits, but you also have Florida State, you have UCF, you have Miami, you have Athens, Georgia is not that far away, you know.
Yep.
And so you end up having to compete, and that was a big reason. Michigan State was not one of the original Big Ten teams. They were Michigan College and then Michigan Agricultural College, and then they became Michigan State University. In the 50s, Michigan was trying to keep them out of the Big Ten. And a big reason for that was competition for recruits in the state for the football program. And they did not want that level of dilution because it would hurt them against Ohio State. And I think largely, yeah, that's kind of proven to be true over the decades.
All right.
But
So,
anyway,
two in baseballs.
Let's keep rolling after that diversion. So now that we're back on a real football field here,
Are we really in New Mexico?
Well, good point. I've been to Albuquerque. That might be a question mark. Is Letta New Mexico Bowl in Albuquerque? You have a 10-3. Let's see, Louisiana against
Cajuns,
against 8-4 TCU. Sun Belt Big 12. This is an LSU with Brian Smelly. It's Louisiana. So, not the game that I'm really going to put a lot of emphasis on, but hey, we're at least getting teams that are over 500 on both sides.
Is Brian Smelly that bad that he stinks up the whole state of Louisiana for you?
I think so.
Well, he got stuck in another obscure bowl later down, but we'll talk about that one in a bit.
So, all right.
I mean, see, do you really want to watch Louisiana? See, I'd be insulted if I was TCU, but I'll talk more about Florida in a minute. But hey,
yeah, Big 12 against a Sun Belt game.
Yeah.
Now the next one here, Pop-Tarts Bowl, Orlando, Florida. Now, if they aren't handing out 2 packs of Pop-Tarts when you walk into that gate, somebody made mistakes. Mistakes were definitely made if they're not handing out free Pop-Tarts for this game. But it's 10-3 Iowa State, a team I like to follow against, well, not really actively follow, but when they're on TV, I like to root for them. They're playing against Miami of Florida.
Yeah.
So you have a Big 12 ACC matchup.
Yeah.
And Miami really fell. I'm just going to say that right now. Miami really fell down this list.
I tell you what, if SMU had not been invited in, I forget Alabama. I don't care what. I think they friggin' ranked that stuff. Miami should have been in ahead of Alabama.
Yes.
Because with only 2 losses, and Miami did play a decent schedule. And I tell you, they lost that game at Syracuse. Folks, Syracuse, you may laugh at them, it's a tough play to play. When they're good or decent, it's a tough place to play on the road. It really is in the Carrier Dome. So,
right. I looked at this game when we were doing our predictions, and I was like, really? You put Miami here against Iowa State, like in Orlando? This is a game where Iowa State might actually win if these Miami players are thinking they might jump to the NFL or hit the transfer portal and just, Florida State all over again. right? Because they were moved so far down out of, I guess, what you'd call the BCS, or now I guess the New Year's Day bowls, putting them on the 28th at the Pop-Tarts Bowl in Florida. I think this was mistreatment by them, and I'll maintain that all day.
Yeah, they deserved a better bowl than that in Orlando. They should have gotten a New Year's Eve bowl or something.
Yep.
A little bit better. Like the Citrus Bowl would have made more sense. But I
Yes.
think that there are still some contractual tie-ins by league also. They have not completely gone away. So once they don't make those certain slots for the best teams, then they get dropped into these other bowl games based on natural alignments.
So okay, well, let's keep rolling. We're about 3/4 of the way down the list.
Oh, Dave will be happy now.
Yeah, here we go. Fallout Dave. Here's your bowl, the Snoop Dogg Arizona Bowl.
Why?
In Tucson.
Why?
Because he wanted his own bowl game. Who knows?
Why don't they just call it the Snoop Dogg Bowl? Why throw the state in there? So, yeah, folks.
I mean, this.
Folks, feel free to put your folks, feel free to put your comments or thoughts about these games in the chat as we going through, or at any time. We'd love to hear what y'all have to say about these matchups and these games, or what your thoughts are on college football these days. Really, okay, JT.
Oh, and Fallout Dave says that's your favorite rap artist.
The only thing that was worse in Fortnite than Snoop Dogg was Eminem. So
anyway. Yeah, I'll agree with that. Let's see. So we have our second military bowl of the year, the Go Bowling military.
I love
bowl.
that name.
Go Bowling in Annapolis, and that is East Carolina.
What put a game in
NC
Annapolis?
State.
I don't know.
So why don't they just play this game in North Carolina?
Yeah, might as well. I mean,
two teams that aren't worth traveling for at 7-5 and 6-6.
Yeah, NC State was a huge letdown because they had a quarterback transfer from Coastal Carolina that had actually had some success for the Chanticleers years ago. They expected a lot of great things, then got blown out by Tennessee and really never got traction before he got hurt. But they struggled to bowl eligibility. So,
yes. So let's see here. The next one we have is the Valero Alamo Bowl. So I'm finally starting to know the company and the actual bowl here. That's in San Antonio. And do we have this right? BYU versus Colorado?
I checked it 3 times. Yes. And it's a Big 12 versus Big 12 matchup. They did not play this year. I do not think. But that's why they had the disaster at the end about would they play each other. So, yeah, because they did not face each other in the Big 12 season. But BYU and Colorado. But here, this was to decide third place. This is that consolation match in the world football. 7-2 in the conference. Arizona State's the champion. Iowa State's second. So this is to decide who's third place in the Big 12 between BYU and Colorado, who both ended up at 7-2. This is the first time I've ever seen this friggin' happen. This is part of one of the problems with the damn bowl system.
But ironically, it might be compelling. Maybe
for those two schools. Maybe, but it depends if people drop out.
Yeah,
I think I wish Wade was here. I think he might be excited about this because it would prove that they were better than BYU on the field. But eyes are not deceiving you. I checked that. This is another indication of how the bowls have become irrelevant because we're getting all these 6-6, and I'll tell you about one in a little bit that's even worse than that when we go into more matchups of specific games. But
we're getting
this was like, this should not happen. 2 teams from the same conference should not play in a bowl.
Well, we're getting close to New Year's Day here, and we still have teams with under 500 in their record.
We'll explain what happened there.
So the next one here on the list, let's just rip the Band-Aid off. Radiance Technologies Independence Bowl in Shreveport, Louisiana. Basically, the home team, Louisiana Tech, at 5-7 versus Army at 11-2. Yes, Fallout Dave. Yes,
Okay, I tell you
5-7.
what happened is when you take a lose. Sometimes, and this has happened before, where a team with a losing record has been selected, but the NCAA has to grant a waiver for that to happen. But what happened here is another problem with what's happening in college sports. Because I tell you, we need to institute the 1 year transfer rule. You have to sit out 1 year, period. If these players are getting paid now and all this other crap, then you know what? They should be punished to some regard. An NFL player can't just decide, I want to go here next year because they offered me some money. You're under contract. You're required to stay somewhere for a certain period of time. What's happening is this NILs are year to year and all this other stuff. It goes both ways. If the colleges are tired of you, they'll cut you off too. So there's no good person in this, but it's so dog eat dog. Every year is different. The coach at Marshall, who won was that the MAC, I believe,
Yes.
had a big year. He leaves. 21 player declares for the draft, who's a great player. 29 other players have entered the transfer portal, including all of their quarterbacks. So it was either not have anything for Army or decide with a new opponent. That's why this game in this case has happened. The bowl, the bowl can't be happy. Army can't be happy. But
I would be pissed if I were an 11-2 team. They're going to throw me up against a 5-7 Conference USA team.
The whole big deal right now is the discussions about the transfer portal and the timing. We're going to talk about it when in the playoff situation because it's rearing its head there too. But with that, I mean, we saw it last year with FSU when they weren't in the playoffs. They lost like 23, 25 players, and we saw what happened. They got beat by Georgia 63-3. It wasn't even a real game in a big major bowl, for that matter, with
Some of
millions
these
of dollars.
schools are going to have to start agreeing to backload these contracts that they have with these players.
They're going to have to do something.
We're only going to pay you.
University of Florida had an edge rusher. University of Florida had an edge rusher who demanded to be the starting outside linebacker, guaranteed play on every third down. And it's like, what the hell? That goes against everything in sports. I'm a freaking coach. Right. You're not guaranteed a damn thing. I'm going to rotate people the way I want to. Sit your ass down and shut up, or whatever. Just because you're paid doesn't mean you play every play. And then he left and went to LSU.
Right.
That's why the integrity or what we know of college football is dying or is gone already. Although I hope to hold some of that up when we talk about Tennessee, Ohio State a bit, because there is still some parts of the game, but you have to be good to keep that stuff,
Right.
But anyway, I'm sorry.
No.
There's a lot more. When we come back to the games, I actually have more instances to talk about. But that's what happened there with that. Marshall pulled out. But again, how could you? Marshall, the new head coach, the defensive coordinator for NC State, they're in a bowl game. He can't get there till the spring. They don't have a coach. They don't have every quarterback left. I mean, my God, if you're the third or fourth string quarterback, keep your ass there and say, hey, let's play. I want to play the game.
Right.
You never know. You could be the starter next year. But anyway, sorry for the rant, JT.
Yeah, no problem. We're almost to the bottom of this list, folks, of just listing what's happening. We haven't even gone deep on any of these yet. Transperfect Music City Bowl, and I had to look up that company. I thought it might have been like a semi tractor trailer type, shipping company. It's actually a translation services company. Would have never guessed, but hey, apparently they have coin to put their name on a bowl game. So that's in Nashville. 8-4 Iowa versus 9-3 Missouri. The second Big Ten SEC matchup of the season on this. Please, Missouri, just put up 14 points in the first half. That means you'll win. And then I don't have to watch the second half. Sorry, folks. This is going to be a boring game. But it's on that Monday before New Year's. And it's the only game on, the only bowl game on, rather. and it's Big Ten versus SEC. That's going to probably get on a good TV network and get blown up for more than what it is, which is two middle of the road teams just kind of out there playing.
Well, and I think Brady Cook probably, I'd be surprised if Brady Cook played for Missouri in this game, especially since he had been injured at the end of the season. So we got another one with backups playing. And Iowa's still waiting on to decide on their starter. I guess that McNamara guy thinks he can be an NFL quarterback or is transferring again. I don't know because articles I'm seeing sound that Iowa selected expecting Brendan Sullivan to be the starter for the bowl game. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Now this is considered. I guess this is considered a. I don't see how. Anyway, never mind. Now, okay, this is an article from last year. My bad on that, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, it's Well, I'll say a little more about this one later.
Sure. Okay, moving on to New Year's Eve, the first game on the list here. ReliaQuest Bowl, and apparently ReliaQuest is a cybersecurity firm. So there you have it. That one's in Tampa. Dadman, maybe you can go down there and root against both of these teams for me. Alabama 9-3 versus a 7-5 Michigan. SEC versus Big Ten, or this is the third SEC Big Ten or Big Ten SEC matchup of the season, or as I like to call this, the your teams suck, but they have a lot of people that watch, so we want our money bowl. Because Alabama's on the outside looking in. They couldn't rig it so that way they were in the playoff.
Well, Michigan
justifying it.
The running back Edwards for Michigan's also opted out.
Yep. Against a trash Michigan team on the year. I mean, they beat Ohio State, but they're still a trash team.
Hey, Alabama's a dumpster fire. They not only is Jalen Milroe, he's committed to playing this game, but the rumor is he's going to declare for the NFL draft after. But their fourth-string quarterback has now entered the portal. They also had a top five-star freshman quarterback that is also entered the transfer portal. So,
well, I mean, when I look at these two teams in this game, this is the perfect matchup. They deserve each other. It's like Alabama's that guy that has a balding head and he's grown a belly, but he still is, wearing a shirt with too many buttons undone, with chest hair, driving a Corvette, and talking to every woman half his age that he shouldn't be. And then, his wife on the other side here, vain, selfish, materialistic, likes to talk crap, and always nagging her husband about something or other. These two are meant for each other.
I'll tell you what, and if you're, I know last time K was out there, Big Blue. If you're Big Blue, JT's big boy. He loves three teams: Ohio State, Alabama, and Michigan to opine on it. Hey, Wade, go Memphis. Yep, I know they're pulling off a good win tonight.
I mean, but this is just meaningless, and it's there because they know a lot of people watch Alabama and a lot of people watch Michigan. So let's make some money on commercials. I know that sounds cynical. That's the only reason. I mean, yeah, that's a lot of the reason why there are so many of these bowl games. But this one especially, what is a 9-3 Alabama that you claim was playoff eligible playing a 7-5 Michigan team?
Yeah.
No, this is
garbage. This is because the conference tie-ins on those bowls, because Miami deserved that slot more than Alabama or Michigan. Put Alabama and Michigan together.
Yep.
Michigan, especially Michigan, Michigan be better than me out there playing freaking quarterback for them. I mean, seriously, it's like they're just crap. I mean, at quarterback, they can't even throw a forward pass.
Right.
Right. Yeah. I'm losing my voice from the other day. And we did talk about Marshall a few minutes ago. 30 players, all pulling out, including all of the quarterbacks. are
Yep.
gone. I mean, that forced them to have to pull out of the game. You can't. I mean, you got to be competitive to
You got
some
to have a
degree.
team to field.
Well, that's what gets me is why didn't at least a third or fourth string quarterback say, "Hey, it could be my one shot to play."
Well,
Why?
and it sounds like maybe somebody said we're going to go play this game without talking to the team first, because
Yeah,
it's not every time you have to accept the bowl game,
yeah.
and
There
they could have
that
just said we're not going.
Yeah, that's part of the problem because there was lack of communication, and that's why the bowl was frustrated with Marshall was because they knew what was happening, but they accepted the invite anyway, and then oops, we can't go.
Yeah.
Like family
So
sometimes, but hey,
yeah. Okay, so now the next game here, we got to keep moving. Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl in El Paso, Texas, and that is Louisville versus a 500 Washington. Now, why is a 500 team playing on New Year's Eve? I could never figure that one out. But hey, it's an ACC versus Big Ten matchup.
but look at that. That's two Big Ten teams that are barely 500 or what. It's like at least Illinois was 9-3. You know,
Yes,
I bet you really. I mean, you got Big Ten teams. I mean, what about Kansas State? Well, that's Big 12, but I mean, oh God, that's how big Big 12. I mean, Big
Big
Ten
Ten
was
is.
because Big Ten is USC was 6-6. Let's try to get back up here a little bit. See the other Big Ten teams. Rutgers is 7-5. Why not invite them?
USC is 6-6.
Yeah.
Why? Yeah, why
Nebraska
not?
is
Why
six
not
and six.
USC?
Nebraska, yeah.
Yep.
I,
Yep. So
no,
why should anybody care about that game? I couldn't tell you.
yeah.
The next one, the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl, which sounds like a weird way to flavor your Cheez-Its, just to make them citrus flavor. But anyway, South Carolina 9-3 versus Illinois 9-3 SEC Big Ten. I think this is actually maybe the best real matchup
Okay.
in on this day.
Well, we'll talk about that when we come back
Yeah.
through. We're going to
Okay.
highlight the
Yeah.
ones of interest to us.
But two
We'll
9-3 teams, at least winners of something.
Yeah.
So
We'll go ahead and try to get through the last few because it's
sure.
like, oh.
I
But
know.
yeah, I'm agreeing with what you're saying, where you're coming from, though, with that one.
So Kinders or Kinders.
I think
In
that's
German,
the
it's
German
Kinder.
chocolate. I think it's
Okay.
Kinder. I think it's that chocolate.
Okay. Kinder's Texas Bowl in Houston. Baylor 8-4 versus Loser State University with Brian Smelly. That's Louisiana State University.
Good thing Brogu's not here.
Well, I know. Big 12 versus SEC matchup. Both teams 8-4. Good choices, I think.
Whoopa for Baylor.
Yep. I think that's a good matchup. Anyway, we'll keep moving. Tax Slayer Gator Bowl.
Yeah, it's a software to do your own taxes.
Yep. That's in Jacksonville. Are you going to that one?
Hell no.
See, yours is at least like what I guess you would call a BCS bowl. I don't know if you call them that in this day and age, but
no, they're not. And actually, that's played. I had to be back to work on the second. It's played at night
So
at
do I.
7:30 at night. It's like,
so do I.
why the hell did y'all put that bowl game on that thing? I mean, I tell the conferences, screw you, because they won't have local support with that. People, I mean, it's hard to go again.
It's Duke 9-3 versus Old Miss.
This says tickets as low as $43.
Yeah,
I would not pay $43. Let me see. But go ahead and finish. I'm going to see what the actual tickets.
So then on the 3rd, you've got Serve Pro First Responder Bowl in Dallas, North Texas versus Texas State. That's a 6-6 team and a 7-5 team. American Conference and Sun Belt. I'm not sure why this game is being played after New Year, why it's being played at all, but there you go. I guess if anybody cared, there you go. Next one, Duke's Mayo Bowl. That's Charlotte. Minnesota 7-5, Virginia Tech 6-6. Big Ten versus ACC. Again, another game on the 3rd. I don't know why that's being played. The final one of the season, Bahamas Bowl in Nassau, Bahamas. Buffalo 8-4, Liberty 8-3. Now, Dadman, I have seen the field. I have seen the field that this game is played on in the Bahamas. I've seen better high school fields.
Yeah.
So, yeah. What a joke.
To answer your question, the Gator Bowl, the cheapest ticket is $36. There's some others, and this is on StubHub, so it's the resale market. $36, 43 in section 224. I would with Ole Miss and Duke, I could, but I believe I need to check Duke. I think that's another quarterback that's transferring also, which makes it, why spend the money at full price when these players keep pulling out and don't play?
And the team didn't win with them anyway.
Yeah. Well, 9-3, but still, it's like the best player is gone. But the cheapest ticket I can see is $36. That's borderline for me. If it was Vanderbilt, I'd take the misses because, supporting Vanderbilt being something new, but I don't want to go see Lane Kiffin. And I do agree.
Go unsold.
There should go no college football game except for the playoff games should be after New Year's Day, because that was always what was glorious. So college football, January 1, college football was done, cut off, done. Now I understand with the playoffs you have to go longer. That's fine, I can deal with that. But all these meaningless Bahamas Bowl, Mayo Bowl, even the Gator Bowl, it's like you put your games before, whether you do it 30th or 31st, who cares?
Right.
But I think it's television contracts though too. How many games can you have, and how many networks are going to cover games at the same time? So, but yeah, I'm like, I don't know if I got a bug, but the problem is they made that game ungoable too for me.
Yes.
And one reason, it's a work night. I don't get off till the 3rd of that whole week like some people do.
Vacation day, the first week of the year.
Yeah, and I mean I can't take a couple more days off after because I've had enough time already, and I got plans coming up. So.
Well, and we've even got issues on New Year's Eve with a lot of these bowls, like the Alabama-Michigan game. I don't care, but some of these ones that might start later, they got to realize that people are making New Year's Eve plans. Like we've got our 24-hour stream coming up, right? Maybe.
Yeah, we're planning on that. Yes, on me and the missus.
So everybody should be tuning into that rather than
I agree.
these bowl games.
I'm sure we'll do a few updates. I think I got to remember. I think last year I got up at 4:00 in the morning. I think I started at 4:30. I think the first time zone is 5:00 Eastern in the morning on the 31st, but I'll have to double check that. So be with us. We really go international on that day. All right. And like I said, this year I know better to get some rest beforehand.
Yes.
But I will have it. The missus will be with me. I'm sure that we'll tag teaming at a time or two if we need to. So, okay.
You just need Ang feeding you a steady diet of ice cream for 24 hours.
Oh, I know. I tell you. Best kid in the world.
Although if you did it, I don't know how much ice cream. I don't know what that would do to you, eating that much ice cream. Probably nothing I want to find out.
24-hour stream, you do whatever it takes to stay going,
True.
All right. So that completes the wrap-ups of all the games that we have in this. I'm going to show our picks.
Okay. Let's do it.
Actually, I'm going to do a few things with some game notes real quick. Any other thoughts? I need to verify one story real quick. Any other thoughts about any other overall impressions about the matchups? What are some of the ones that you kind of may like?
The truth be told, outside of a few of them getting close to New Year's Eve, I don't see a point in anyone really getting invested in any of these unless you're a student or you're a
Yeah.
parent of a student or you're a parent of one of the kids that's in the band or on the
Yeah.
football field, or you work for the university in some direct
Yeah.
capacity. And
Yeah.
that's kind of the problem with a lot of these now is even before the playoffs were coming in, when you expanded past like 20 bowl games, each one you add takes a little bit less away from all the others. And I know that there was a lot of conversation that we've had, Dadman, and others on your panel in the past doing your sports show is, these bowl games were supposed to be revenue drivers for the community and
Mhm.
bring in people to do charity on those days or
Right.
the different things that the town almost, if the bowl game's been there long enough, would have relied upon that on an annual basis to provide something. I honestly don't see like that bowl game in Detroit way before New Year. I
Yeah.
don't see it's right there on the 26th line 12.
Yeah.
That game there, I don't see why they're even having it.
I mean, Pittsburgh
I don't.
have got to hate their team. I mean, like we just talked about, they were on the threshold of making the ACC championship game, and then they went off the planet losing at all these games at the end of the year. And I mean, why would you? I mean, it's not like they were Florida where maybe they got a little bit better at the end and they won and they're on a winning streak. They're hot. This is a team that went bad. They went south at the end.
Well, and I might be wrong about this if Toledo really actually has a lot of Toledo fans and they travel. But say it wasn't Toledo, say it was Northern Illinois or some other MAC team from further away against Pitt.
Well, Toledo probably will travel well. It's a fairly close game for them.
Well, yeah.
Plus, also, it's their way to stick it to Michigan.
Yes.
Like, screw you. We went with Ohio in the border war.
So I guess what I'm thinking here is this is going to be at Ford Field where the Detroit Lions play. This will have maybe a chance at surpassing the number of people that come in to watch the high school finals during Thanksgiving for the high school teams.
Yeah, I can see that.
And it's just people's parents showing up to that. I mean, that's how low the attendance is. So is it really worth paying for the police to redirect traffic and all this other stuff, going through the motions? No.
Well,
no.
Well, I had to jump all over Toledo because I heard the reference to it the other day. JT can confirm this. The states of Ohio and Michigan brought the militias out. There was almost a war, or there was a war over the Toledo was supposed to go to Michigan and Ohio took it, or what? How was that?
Michigan wanted Toledo because back then the river system that went into that part of Western Ohio and Michigan went through Toledo because this is like Erie Canal type days where water is the only method of transit. So it was a major hub like 200 years ago. So Michigan actually rushed its application to become a state so that way they could fight Ohio for that land. Now, Ohio ended up keeping Toledo, and Michigan got the entire upper peninsula, which ended up
nothing but snowland, right?
Well, they actually have huge iron ore deposits there, tin and lumber. So if, at least from a raw resources standpoint, Michigan came out way ahead.
Well, guess what? But you know what? No, Ohio comes out ahead because guess what? They have a Waffle House in Toledo.
Well,
here you
go. Yes.
All right. Do. All right. Well, let's get to some of my game notes. And as we were talking about through here, this to some of my game notes. This is a common story here. Art of Sport LA Bowl. Cal quarterback Mendoza is now in the portal. They've undecided. Also features UNLV that had a quarterback change because of an NIL disagreement. Lockheed Martin Armistice Bowl, the Oklahoma. Jackson Arnold is in the portal, out for the bowl game. So the freshman that replaced him in the Tennessee game will be back to the starter. even though he beat Alabama, he's like, goodbye, everybody. He's hit the road. Again, timing of the year, because you have to get in before the spring semester. That's what's forcing these people to have to get out. Yet, time with the bowl in the playoffs is really sucky with it. Highlight the Birmingham Bowl as Vanderbilt made a bowl game. Washington State quarterback John Mateer is out as entered the portal. Also for Washington State, Thomas Castellanos for BC is transferring to FSU. So Boston College will be down a quarterback. As we talked about, the Marshall Sun Belt Conference champs dropped out, missing 30 players, so they were replaced by Louisiana Tech with a losing record. Jalen Milroy will play, or is supposed to play in the Raleigh Quest Bowl, but others have entered the portal there. And yes, I did confirm at Duke's Mayo Bowl that the Malik Murphy, who was a quarter transfer from Texas. See, this is part of what pisses me off. Guy transfers from Texas because he doesn't get the starting job, goes to school like Duke, has success, then, oh, wow, it's about me and my money, so I'm going somewhere else. Duke gave him a chance when nobody else would. And so now he just up and goes. I mean, there should be a guaranteed 2-year requirement now. I mean, if we're going to make this like professional sports, then there should be if a school wants to agree to 1-year contracts, fine. But if they want to start getting these people 2-3-year contracts, hey, if we're going to professionalize it, let's make it, professional. Because even NFL players can't just choose on their own,
right,
and change teams from year to year.
There's got to be some backloading of the contract or some type of condition that says you need to play at least one snap in season 2 to get your season 1 payday or something like that, right? Something to get those kids to go back, because you're right. This is getting ridiculous where they're just out.
The one realistic complaint that I've heard, or practical thing, is that though it has to do with timing of getting players into the school year, the next school year, that they have to get in accepted, and it's got to be done in this little window between the end of the regular season and the bowl games. And there's no way around it, because we're seeing it's affecting the college football playoffs too. But the thing is I think too many players are now deciding, well, if I'm not starter, I'm leaving, instead of sticking it out. So some great professionals have not been starters in college. I mean, who would ever thought Tom Brady? Yeah, he became a starter at Michigan, but he was only a six-round draft pick. He became a starter. Look at his career. And there are other people at any position that were never starters in college, but when they got to the NFL, they got the opportunity and actually took advantage of it. But now we got money involved too. Here's the other thing. Are you going to give your money back when you don't perform? Look what FSU did this year, spending all the money they did. 2-10 this year for FSU.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and talk about our bowl picks. And as we do this, JT, if there's any game you want to talk about, let's take this opportunity, because I know there's some games I want to highlight. Scooter's Coffee Frisco Bowl. Memphis beats West Virginia tonight.
Could you embiggen that?
Yeah.
A little bit, please.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
No problem. All right. I like that. Embiggen. That's a good name.
I'm taking that from Mark D with the C, and I think he took it from some movie. I don't know, but yes.
I like that.
Maybe it's Mrs. Simpsons.
Yeah. We got 7 people with us. Folks, feel free to opine with us. Tell us what you think along the way and everything. You don't have to agree either. All right. Boca Raton Bowl. We both take James Madison in this game. Art of Sport LA Bowl. You took Cal. I took UNLV. Now, I don't know, but see, the thing is, I don't know if you knew at the time that Mendoza was transferring out of Cal.
I did not.
So
I did not.
See, that's the problem with these damn bowl games, too. And some of this stuff just happens. In the meantime, since I picked the Duke Mississippi game, after that, I learned that the Duke's quarterback's transferring. But I took Ole Miss anyway, so it didn't affect me. So, I mean, this is how crazy this is. It just happens. So, I mean, JT, if you want to change your pick on that, you're welcome to.
No, I'll stick with it. I'll stick with it.
Yeah, go ahead and read the rest of these down, JT.
Okay, so R&L Carriers New Orleans Bowl. We both have GSU. picked on that.
Georgia
And
Southern.
I
Go
was going to
Eagles.
say, I know it's not Grambling State, so my next guess was Georgia Southern.
I should have
Okay.
put the team names like I did on the other
Oh,
page. Sorry
it's
about
fine. I
that.
should be able to get most of these others.
Yeah.
Let's see. So the next game there, Staff DNA Cure Bowl. I picked Ohio because I'm kind of a Mac slappy, and you
Yeah.
picked San Jose State.
Jacksonville State.
Jacksonville State.
The Gamecocks out of Alabama. They beat FSU a couple years ago in Tallahassee.
Ah,
They're not,
okay. So we
they're
both
not
kind of have that same in our back pocket, kind of like you loosely know your distant relative kind of feeling about these.
And they're
teams.
actually historically pretty good. Like Georgia Southern has a history with its football program. So, it's Jacksonville State.
Yeah, I picked that because I remember you were saying that about them.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's move on. The Gasparilla Bowl. We both picked Florida. I think that's a pretty straightforward, easy decision.
Okay.
But now that I jinxed the team for
you. I don't care. I probably won't even watch this damn game. I mean, I find no point to play Lagway in this game. I've said, let the Yale transfer get his last game in playing. Let him start. Let him be the quarterback for this game because he'll never see the field again when they have new quarterbacks come in next year and all. Let him play because you don't want to hurt Lagway. He's already had a leg injury this year with his gimmick-ass offense that they run instead of using his arm like they should be. I'd love to see him throw 40 times a game and quit this running dink crap. Also, by the way, Tulane is an insult. I mean, that's one reason why I don't really want to watch this game because it's what Tulane is. I mean, it's American. Screw the American Conference, bunch of hippies.
Right.
It's like I don't like the competition. I mean, because I tell you what, if the Gators lose, I get pissed off. That's when I don't want to watch games.
I'm glad that you picked Florida. I am, because I looked at Tulane and I laughed. I kind of scoffed at it.
Right. Why do I want to play them?
Here I'm going to have Dadman tell me that they're way better than what I think they are, and no.
Well, Tulane is actually pretty decent. They blew a game against Kansas State this year. But Tulane could win this game. I don't know, but Florida's defense did turn up the notch. Of course, they have their defensive coordinators going elsewhere, and another defender's leaving with him. My gosh, I mean, hey, it's like I say a lot of times about communities and groups. Sometimes if the leader turns a right turn, your nose is going to break off if you're not prepared to turn with them. But these kids, I mean, be your own man, do your own decisions. By the way, Gasparilla. Let me touch on that really quick.
Sure.
Gasparilla is something down in Tampa. It's really related to pirates. They have the Pirate Fest down in Tampa Bay in January each year. They even have Parade of Pirates and stuff. It's named for Jose Gaspar, who terrorized the coastal waters of West Florida during the late 18th and 19th centuries. The annual Gasparilla celebration begins with the Gasparilla invasion. Over 700 feet swashbucklers invade Tampa Bay aboard the majestic pirate ship Jose Gasparilla, kicking off a full schedule of pirate-themed events. So that's why you have the name Gasparilla Bowl.
Interesting. Well, hey, that's actually a cool name for it. I'm glad they didn't sell it out to something stupid like, try our 5-bladed razor bowl, that some of these other places have done. So I got to hand it to them. But I think Florida is definitely going to walk away with that. I might turn it on if it's even on my TV. It may not be.
Let's see that game. See, what I hate is the season's over so early. That's an insult to the Gators being played that early.
I take that back. It's on ESPN, so I will not be watching.
I wouldn't even go to Applebee's for that damn game. That's my team.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like 3:30 on ESPN, Raymond James Stadium. So it's funny the number of bowl games in Tampa. It's funny the number of games in Tampa at Raymond James and the camping stadium in Orlando. But yes, because that game will occur prior to the Notre Dame Indiana playoff game that night. So on the 20th. But we will talk about that in a moment. All right, I said everything I needed to about that game.
Yeah.
Other than I may not watch this game because it's like playing Tulane. It's like I want to play. I mean, give me Illinois, give me Michigan, give me Washington, give me a team with some name or Clemson or
Right.
Miami. I just can't stand playing a team. Like I said, I don't want to watch a game where all I'm going to do is get mad because they're losing to them. Because in no world should an American team beat an SEC team if
Yeah,
you're an
there's no
incredible
winning.
SEC team.
There's no
Yeah,
really walking away with a win on
no,
this.
I know it's not worth my
So,
time. And they get the risk of getting Lagway hurt.
mhm.
I mean, I'm serious. I really would not play him. I'd play the backup and the others because the game means nothing. But if the kid gets out there and gets hurt in a meaningless bowl game, yeah, he's only a freshman, but look at Tyrone Prothro for Alabama, the wide receiver. It was, I think Shula was the coach when Urban Meyer's first year at Florida, and it was like fourth and a foot, and he did some gimmick dive play, throw a bomb to him, and the kid came down, blew out his hip so bad. One of the most gruesome injuries I've ever seen. It was never the same. So,
Right.
all right, I'll shut up. Let you go ahead with these games.
Oh, well, okay.
No, I know. I need to rest my throat for the playoffs a little bit.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. So the next one is the Myrtle Beach Bowl. We both pick University of Texas at San Antonio, followed by the famous Idaho Potato Bowl. I picked Northern Illinois. You picked Fresno State.
No.
I picked Northern Illinois because they did beat Notre Dame, even though they kind of bombed after that. They're also a MAC team. And darn it, I'll pick a MAC team if I think they have a chance.
To me, it's the West Coast travel on this one.
True.
So,
True.
although you could say warm climate versus cold climate. So,
yep. So anyway, let's see here. Hawaii Bowl. We both pick San Jose State University.
mm-hmm.
Now this one, Game Above Sports Bowl. I picked Toledo because I have no respect for Pitt after the season they had, and it's a home game for Toledo.
Yeah.
So, other than that, I have no real passion for this. Other than
probably
not liking it being in Detroit.
I went with the ACC in this case, but you're probably right because it's Pittsburgh. The way they ended the season was just bad.
Right. And then let's see. The next one we have is the RATE Bowl. We both have Kansas State over Rutgers. I did just want to briefly touch back on this one. I always like watching Kansas State, especially the Kansas State game. They did not have the year I expected them to have. I could not follow them that closely, but I just think they ran into some issues. I think they're more than capable of taking out Rutgers.
Mm-hmm.
Just Rutgers has that smell on it that I don't care for them too much.
Yeah.
All right. 68 Ventures Bowl. We both picked Bowling Green. Lockheed Martin Armed Forces Bowl. I picked Ohio. Was that Ohio? Oklahoma. Yeah, I was like, that doesn't sound right. Oklahoma, and you picked Navy. Yeah. Why did you pick Navy?
Because Oklahoma, until the Alabama game, it was having some trouble stopping some teams on the ground. Navy with their run offense and actually can throw the ball a little bit when needed. Plus, also Jackson Arnold, like I said, is transferring from Oklahoma, is in the portal. So go back to the freshman quarterback that replaced him as starter for a few games. So Oklahoma will have a real player with some experience behind center, unlike a lot of these other teams. But still, I think Navy's got more to play for in this game than Oklahoma does.
I just think Oklahoma is going to have too much talent to overcome, even though it's going to have glaring omissions.
Very obviously, because Navy nor Army stood. The game was over on the first Notre Dame drive against both Army and Navy, which was sad. These teams got ranked; they had good seasons, and then they make Notre Dame, who can't score but 15 points on friggin' Northern Illinois at home, and then but they play these guys and just run right over them. But,
right. So. Okay, so let's see here. That puts us at the Birmingham Bowl. Vandy was my pick. Georgia Tech was your pick. You know I was picking Vandy because I'm just rooting for them. But deep down inside, I think Georgia Tech's probably going to pull it out. But it's more of a hope and a dream.
Well, it depends on it. I win with Georgia Tech, assuming Haynes King will be the starting quarterback because he ended up coming in the game against Georgia, and they
Mhm.
nearly knocked off Georgia. Could you imagine if Georgia Tech had beaten Georgia in that game?
Oh,
What
that
that
would
would
have
have
been
done for
beautiful.
everything. I mean, especially now with Georgia, this would have been crazy. But um, Diego Pavia, people have solved him already. He's a gimmick. It's what I
Mhm.
thought with Vanderbilt. Like Dennis Creed said, we knew they were exactly who we thought they were. And good for Vandy. They make a playoff, yeah, and they make a bowl game. Good for them. But I mean, you see, it's another team like Pitt. The last few weeks, the schedule caught up with them. The defense has
Yeah.
caught up with them,
Yeah.
and they were exposed. And Georgia Tech has dominated some teams. They beat Miami. They beat FSU. They've had some good upsets this year. So, hey, Sashi, we'll take the
Hey,
drive by
Sashi.
light. Good to see
Good to
you.
see you.
How
Yeah.
are you doing tonight? Oh,
And we're rolling through this.
Yep.
Are you done with Georgia Tech?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's pretty much. I mean, Vandy, enjoy it. Enjoy the bowl game. Now that's a team. Had they come here, I would have been willing to pay $35, $45
Yes.
to go see them.
Yes.
Only because it's like a freak of nature. So,
Yes. Oh, I think they would have had a lot of ticket sales for that.
Oh, they would have. And I was thinking the Birmingham Bowl, I'm probably sure they're probably going to have a lot of ticket sales for that.
Yes, they will.
Including Georgia Tech, too. Georgia Tech had a surprisingly good season, too. So, this could be one of the games of fan bases. See, I forgot to say, this is one of the games I think could be actually be a good game on the field also.
Yeah.
Competitive
And
with
it's
the two teams.
drivable for your fans, too.
Yeah, but I think really with this game, the two teams match up pretty good together with each other. We would need to go back to the list in a second.
Sure.
Identify the games that you like the most.
Okay.
Possible. So
Let's see. Following up down here, folks. We're just trying to get through this horridly long list of bowl games.
Yep.
AutoZone, Liberty Bowl. We both picked the Horned Frogs, Texas Tech.
Oh, Red Raiders.
Oh, Red Raiders. I'm sorry. Who was I thinking of?
TCU.
TCU. My bad. Oh, there's a lot of people not happy with me there. It's after midnight, folks. Okay.
Yeah.
So, let's see. DirecTV Holiday Bowl. That one is Syracuse and Washington State. I picked Washington State. You picked Syracuse.
I think Kyle McCord is, if he's playing, I mean, let's see. I'm basing on Kyle McCord playing. It's Syracuse had a good year. They won't travel well, but they should be. I think this should be a fun game if the starters. Well, but then again, Washington State, their quarterback's transferring. This is a game. This is a game with the two teams coming in with the full rosters coming in here. Was one of the games when I first saw the matchup I liked. I both have good offenses. I think it would be an exciting game of both teams. But when you start taking out starters, players, and quarterbacks, I like, well,
Yeah. So I want to change
on
that.
paper. That should
I want to
be.
change that.
You do? Okay.
Yes,
all
I
right.
do.
Well, we have that. We do that. Billy.
I did not know the QB was not.
Yeah, I think this is another that was a brand new story too. Let's see, the date on that story was, let's see, like 16 hours. It was a day ago.
Okay, after
and it was
my picks.
After you'd made your picks. Yeah,
yeah.
That's why I said the Duke story too. The Duke story too. I mean, this is how fluid this situation is with these players and stuff. So,
well, in any event, we have a lot of similarity going down the list here.
Let's say Sashi's still not an American football, though. Was initially selected for rugby when I was in school because of my bill's short and stout. Dude, I tell you, I love rugby. If we could ever find a way, Dave C loves rugby. If I could get a way to watch rugby, Miss and I would be watching rugby, and we would definitely talk about that. Because we had one time we shared. A guy got his head busted open, bleeding everywhere. They just ran to the sideline and you put duct tape all over it. They wrapped his head with duct tape, no bandages, just duct tape, and he went back in.
Nice.
So, all right, let's get through the rest of these games then. And
we've got a lot of similarities here. The Las Vegas Bowl. We both have Texas A&M with the. Let's see, where is that? The Red Sox Stadium, Fenway. We both have UNC. The Then we have, what is that, where the Yankees play?
Yep.
The Pinstripe Bowl.
Yep.
We both picked Nebraska.
Yep.
Let's see. New Mexico Bowl, we both picked. Now it's the Horned Frogs at
Yep.
TCU. Pop Tarts Bowl in Orlando. We both picked Miami of Florida.
Yep.
So then we're coming down to the Snoop Dogg Bowl, the one that Dad Man's super excited for.
Yeah, really.
I picked Miami of Ohio because they are a MAC team, and I really had not much else to go off of with these guys.
Yep. And I take the Rams of CSU.
Yep. So then NC State versus, the Go Bowling Military Bowl. I picked NC State, and you picked Eastern Carolina.
Yep.
Any reason?
Because I don't like NC State. I've seen enough play this year against ACC teams and in Tennessee. It just they just don't have enough to it. They got a couple of decent running backs, but the quarterback situation really fell off for them. Oh shoot! Oh yeah, never mind. I thought I put Army in both. Your pick was Army, so
yeah. So let's see here. The Valero Alamo Bowl. I picked Brigham Young.
The freakiest matchup.
Colorado.
Two teams in the Big 12. I never thought I'd see it. It shows you how bad college football is now. But I will say, at least they could decide on the field who was third.
Yeah.
This is another game that I noted. Presuming all starters and everything equal, this could be a fun game to watch with plenty of points.
I just don't like Colorado. They gifted my school a horrible head coach, and so they're on my naughty list this year.
Yeah, that guy, the guy before Jonathan Smith. Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
So it's kind of, I don't know who would win, but I definitely don't like Colorado. So
yeah.
Okay, so then moving on, we both picked Army because they're playing in the Insult Bowl.
Yeah,
as I'll nickname it.
I know.
We already talked about that guy at length. The Transperfect
Bowl. Sashi said you should see the late Jonah Lomu. Dude was running through people and scored with about 3 players attached to him. Nice.
I love it.
Nice.
I love it. All right. Transperfect Music City Bowl. We both picked the Missouri Tigers over the Iowa Hawkeyes.
Yeah.
Probably the most boring school in the Big Ten.
This game I picked as one of uniqueness of, but for the bad reason. If you have insomnia, this is the game to watch because Missouri is without Luther Burden and another one of their starters. I don't remember if Brady Cook, the starting quarterback, is out for the year. I know he's struggled with a lot of injury issues, and he was rumored to be in the NFL draft or coming out for the NFL. I can't see him playing. So without Luther Burden, Missouri doesn't have a lot except a strong running back. But Iowa's got a solid defense, so this could be your 9-6 field goal game.
Yep. Oh, 100%. I was going to
say, catch up on your sleep.
If you really wanted to watch this game, please don't do it right
now. Why do Iowa fans travel for any bowl game? I mean, they got crushed by Tennessee last year. They came here even before that a few years, played Tennessee again, and got crushed. I mean, it's like, I feel for Iowa fans.
Do they have a professional sports team in their state? This might be the biggest game, the biggest team in that state. So,
well, I don't know. Iowa State seems to be passing them.
True.
Yeah.
True. But that's why they would travel, because they don't have any other teams to travel for the rest of the year. Anyway, let's see. The most cursed bowl of the schedule this year, Michigan versus Alabama. I picked Michigan. You picked Alabama. I think if we could just both pick neither, probably would have made at least me happier.
The main reason I'm going Bama is because Michigan ain't going to be able to just do their dink and dunk and just rely on the running back. Alabama's still stout, except, when they want to play right. Milrose should be in this game starting, so from what all indications are. And I just don't, I think Bama Bama just puts a whooping on the Big Ten team coming down here. But
You know what? I need to pick Alabama too. I
no, you
keep
wouldn't.
forgetting that Michigan always loses their bowl game.
And they
So,
have Edwards, Devontae or Donovan Edwards, the
mhm.
running back is opted out of the bowl game. So you want to change
Yeah.
that to Alabama?
Yep.
And folks, a lot of this stuff is news to JT because some of this these players are just transferring or opting out to portals and stuff, are going pro at very last moments now. So when we did these picks, there was based on the information at the time.
These games are like a week and a half away, and you don't
Yep.
even know your roster. That's got to be just infuriating as a
You
coach.
should see how many teams don't even have a starter quarterback for the bowl game.
Yeah. So, all right, Cheez-It Citrus Bowl. We both picked USC.
Tony the Tiger too.
Oh, did I miss Tony
Yeah.
the Tiger? Sorry.
No, we
The
both
Tony the
took
Tiger
Louisville.
Sun Bowl.
I love the name
Louisville.
though. It's one of my favorite names. These
Yes.
next couple.
Cheez-It Citrus Bowl. We both picked USC.
Mm-hmm.
Kinder's Texas Bowl. I picked Baylor, and you picked LSU. Now, I picked Baylor because I don't like Brian Smelly. You see, I'm kind of vindictive in my picks.
Yes, you
A
are.
lot of these games, just a wee bit.
Just a wee bit, yes.
But I also don't think Baylor is phenomenal. I think LSU will give them a good game, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, I got you. Absolutely.
The problem is you start getting out of these games, I just don't care about these matchups either.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, like I said, these last few, it should end at New Year's Eve,
Right.
and be done with it. So, but
right. So
they don't.
The Tax Slayer Gator Bowl, we both picked Old Piss.
Yeah.
And
well, there's not much choice in that now that Malik Murphy's transferred for Duke. It's like, it's like I've not heard anything about Jackson Dart, but Ole Miss does have. I tell you what, even if Jackson Dart sat out, they had a damn hell of a freshman quarterback. In the game against Georgia, where they ended up winning, Jackson Dart got hurt in the first series and threw a pick that set up an easy short Georgia touchdown. They had to put the freshman in next series. He marched him down like 6 of 8 passing, and it took him to a touchdown. He looks really good. So, Ole Miss has got, they're one team that they could go to their backup and not miss a beat, I think.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, yeah. Yeah. And even with that Duke QB hitting the transfer portal, I still didn't think they had a chance. I really didn't. Yeah. But, okay. So then we'd go to the First Responders Bowl. We both picked North Texas. Duke's Mayo Bowl, which is well after the first at that point. I picked Minnesota. You picked Virginia Tech. And I really didn't give two you-know-whats about this.
I know.
So I just had to pick one. You could tell me why I picked wrong, and I would just say, okay.
Virginia Tech has actually done some good stuff this year. They almost beat Miami down in Coral Gables. Actually, it was ruled a touchdown on a Hail Mary that was overturned on replay, which caused a lot of controversy about home cooking officials and stuff like that. And replay overturned it. That's why people got so mad about it. Because originally the call on the field was incomplete pass, and then they overturned it on review, calling it no, actually, they called on the field incomplete. Okay, let's see. Virginia Tech, it went the opposite way. They overturned the call, basically, which allowed Miami to have the win in the review. So it just
Virginia Tech in mind, folks. Decent. Virginia Tech is 6-6. Minnesota is 7-5. So
in the Big 10 conference, I mean, it's like And Minnesota had chances to beat teams and couldn't do it. I think they almost upset Penn State, but didn't do it again.
Yep.
All right.
So then the final game, Bahamas Bowl, we both picked Liberty. The only other thing I'll reiterate on that is I saw the field
playing Buffalo.
It just they shouldn't be having a football game down in the Bahamas, but it was somebody's bright idea to do it, so they're doing it. But I remember Eastern Michigan played down there one year. They didn't send the marching band because they didn't want to pay for it. And
of course
they flew them down like the night before the game. Then they played the game at like 10 or 11 in the morning, and then they flew them back that day. I'm like,
Cheap
what?
bastards! You denying the kids a good experience. So
Right.
all right.
So anyway,
Any other thoughts on the bowl games? We're going to flip it over to the college football
let's go to
playoffs.
CFP. I feel like
Right.
we need to get to the big boys here.
Yeah. All right. So we'll look at the first round games, folks. Overall, how do you think the committee did with this?
Fair. So I'd give him like a C. I'd give him a C. I think there were, well, I might not even give them that because I don't pass them in all areas. Playing favoritism to a couple schools that I don't think should have gotten it. Really,
like which ones?
Ohio State being the biggest one in Shafton, Tennessee.
The biggest. We're going to come back to that at the end of this because I thought Tennessee, with the way they played all year, not losing to an unranked Michigan team that barely is bowl eligible at home, looking horrible. Tennessee should have been the 8th seed and get the home game, not Ohio State.
Yes.
You call all this rage for Alabama bias. I know Buddy does, but fuck Ohio State. The Ohio State. And I'll say that anyway, because that was bullshit. Everybody claims that only the SEC gets home cooking. That was home cooking. You got a fan base that's after their coach. You got a team that has not looked good, and it did lose to Oregon in a disappointing game with some nefarious stuff by the Oregon coach, but it was within the rules. But Ohio State is not the $20 million team they paid for. This team is very vulnerable. I mean, yeah, you can beat Indiana by 35 points, but big deal, it's Indiana, who I also have problems with being in this ahead of a Miami team with only 2 losses, who actually played a real schedule. They went to Gainesville. They went to Syracuse. I mean, they had to play some real teams. Indiana played nobody all year. We've talked about Indiana's schedule.
Although part of that wasn't their fault that like Michigan State died on the field, you know.
But if we're going to evaluate best teams, best year's competition, you can't go just record. The one thing that I had somebody say to me about SMU, I'd say SMU didn't deserve it because I don't think SMU will compete. I think against Penn State they're going to get. Well, no, I got a hold of a pick, and I got to remember how I picked too. But SMU is one that I did not like them getting in because I think the first half of the Clemson game is what we saw. But give them credit, they rallied. They made it a game. They tied it. Clemson had to win late, but the thing is like people said, the committee seemed to reward teams for being in their championship game. And as long as they start doing that and they're consistent with it, fair. So, all right.
Yep. I think we both agree.
All right. Well, we'll take another look at it as when we get to the brackets with our picks. But so let's look in the first round. Indiana, Notre Dame. I'll just show them, and people will see what we got. No. Oh wait, no. This is.
Did
just
you have a graphic?
No. Yep.
Yes,
this
there
is
it is.
The games. Let me get enlarged, like you said. Let me get.
Embiggened.
Embiggened.
Yeah. Yes.
I like that.
And thank you to everybody that's still hanging out with us. I know it's later than what we've been going lately.
Well, for Buddy Hepburn, it's only like 10 o'clock. Hey.
Right.
Fallout Dave is over here with me. So, hey, good to see you guys in Sashi. If you're still around, I know it's I was hoping to have some Tennessee fans. I tried to tease it on Twitter today, but anyway,
I think that's us. I think we are the Tennessee
I guess
fans.
No, there is Southern Belle who came through our chats on Saturday.
Yeah.
So speaking of Saturday, we will be live 8 o'clock Saturday night, barring anything my voice or family related. So we will talk about these first 3 games, the results, and we will also be doing live updates on the Tennessee-Ohio State game. Again, my biggest thing with Ohio State getting the home game, but Indiana, Notre Dame, Big Ten versus Independent. Southern Methodist plays at Penn State on Saturday the 21st, and then Clemson at Texas in Austin, ACC, SEC. Anything in these first 3 games?
Well, the Indiana game is on ABC and ESPN at 8 p.m., so I'm really hoping I pick that up on ABC so I can actually watch it.
Right.
I really want Indiana to win.
It's,
I
yeah,
really do.
hey,
You have no
JT,
idea.
JT, it does, according to ESPN's website, it is scheduled for ABC
Okay, great.
along with the Tennessee Ohio State game
Cool.
on Saturday.
Good. I really want Indiana to win. I really do.
But in which Indiana team is it going to be? The Chuckleheads that went into
That's really the
that
problem.
went into Neyland North. I'm sorry, I spoiled that one. I got an article for you in a minute. That went into the horseshoe and then got the first touchdown, then did nothing else the rest of the game.
Yes.
And also with Notre Dame, is this going to be the team that came out like garbage against Northern Illinois at home and play? Which one?
And
the cold weather. Don't forget at night. What's the temperature running up in that part of the country these days?
Oh, well, it's so I can't even guess what it's going to be in a few days. Probably around freezing, mid to upper 30s. It won't be too bad if the sun's out in the middle of the day, but this time
that's
of year,
an 8:00 game though.
That's at nighttime. Yeah. It's going to be windy and cold. You might get a little bit of snow flurries. Yeah. I mean, the temperatures ranged anywhere from a low of like 12 to a low of like 35 and like a high of 25 and a high of 50, depending on the day. So the weather's been all over the place.
Really cold though, and a lot of lake effect snow. That's been crazy.
So weather-wise, I think that might actually help Indiana.
Buddy would have had Ole Miss, which we like to say Ole Piss at Alabama, but hey, we got a Roll Tide from Nicholas Fondren. Roll Tide. Hell, welcome in.
We are we did just go through the bowl games for the last few hours, so if you want to watch that on the recap or rewind a little bit, we have a couple hours on that. Now we're just going through the CFP games.
Feel free, like Buddy's did. Buddy said his opinion of the bracket. Feel free, share your thoughts of everything here with us tonight in the time that we have left. Because there was some debates that we'll talk a little more when we see the whole bracket with our picks. But any hope, like with SMU and Penn State, Clemson, Texas?
I don't think SMU has a chance. I don't think Clemson has a chance. And that Tennessee-Ohio State game is like the one that I can't miss. So I think those are already pretty well decided, unfortunately, for those other teams. Yeah. Especially with Texas being able to sit at home and Penn State being able to sit at home. Yeah. I don't think the ACC has what it takes this year.
Well, Nicholas
disagrees. Yeah.
See, I did struggle when we talk about the brackets. I'm going to talk about that game. I had a little bit of going around on that one, but yes, hey, I would personally, even though I'm an SEC homer, I would love to see Clemson beat Texas. I hate Texas, but anyway.
But it's number 16 Clemson. Yeah. That's my other thing is
but see though, I think Clemson's underrated though. They really are. They Clay Kublik is one of the better quarterbacks. He doesn't get credit for it because of the problems that they've had up and down with the people around him and stuff. And Nicholas, my background is a Florida Gator. I am not happy. I'm not sold on Billy Napier, but hope to have you around more talking football. I mean, I know we're winding up, but great to have people that like football, and I'm glad you found us, and I hope you can be around more. And also, like to everybody, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. We'd love to stay above that 666 mark. But, we do all kinds of stuff more than football around here, so check us out. But, they didn't make a 12-team playoff. Don't worry about rankings. Yeah, but see, the whole thing gets back to the thing of they went with the 5 conference champions. That automatically took one of the spots from
right.
So it that because when Clemson beat SMU, that kicked Alabama out because SMU with only one loss at that point. It just there was a drive. Also, people speculate with the committee rewarding the teams that had made the championship games. So, no. But hey, you never know. Hey, it's it's like some people said they thought this new system would solve all our problems. It
It
hadn't.
didn't. It
It
didn't. It
hadn't.
just made new ones. Yeah.
It made new ones. We still got the same questions when it comes to who gets in the playoffs. Wait till they expand to 16 teams, and of course that's not even considering the transfer portals and stuff like that and all that disaster. So
Right.
on top of everything,
Right.
um, let's talk
Should we
about
do
this
our
game.
picks?
Well, not yet. We have not
Okay.
talked about the game, Tennessee, Ohio State. We will be live on Saturday night at 8 o'clock, unless something unforeseen happens, which means we will be talking about the previous three games statistically, making some comments about what we've seen about that. But we will also be keeping up with that Tennessee Ohio State game live on air, as we've done a few times. It will be interesting. It will be interesting to see how cold it will be in Ohio. But I wanted to bring up a couple things here. Let me make sure
Sure.
I've got everything here, because this game is really taking on a special meaning with a lot of people. Let me get my. Let's see.
And for those of you that don't know, Dabman and I both kind of picked Tennessee as like our second team, so to
Yeah,
speak, because our own
yeah.
teams were
We did that
poopy.
weeks ago. Yeah, we did that
Yeah,
weeks
like
ago.
way, way like what was that, September? We picked them.
Yeah.
And so we've had like a nice season, kind of just watching them out of the corner of our eye. And now that they're playing a team I cannot stand in Ohio State, or the Ohio State, um, I really want Tennessee to win. Not only do I think that they've played better opponents and played more consistently and improved throughout the year, I think Ohio State is vulnerable. I don't think they've played quality opponents. They lost to a non-quality opponent when they played Michigan. And I think the only thing that's helping them is that home field advantage, which they should not have. They should not have. That game should be in Knoxville.
Tennessee loses on the road at Arkansas, who's I mean, maybe consider them comparable to Bama. I mean, Michigan, but still, Ohio State lost to a very, very pedestrian. They can't even throw the football Michigan team at home, and that's
13 to
enough.
10. 13
Yeah,
to 10. It
13
wasn't
to
even
10.
like a
wasn't even.
solid walk-away
Yeah.
scoring game.
But what has happened that this Tennessee Ohio State game has taken on a life of its own? You would think this would be a Tennessee Alabama matchup with what's coming out of Knoxville. Gators have been trash talked by Tennessee many times and all that. Well, folks, it started last week. Apparently, there was some secret code or early access code out for tickets to buy tickets up for the game, because the first round's going to be held at the host school sites. Well, apparently, a lot of Tennessee fans got a hold of it and bought up a ton of the tickets. The athletic director for Ohio State was going out telling everybody, don't sell your tickets to Tennessee fans. I've heard talk that it could be like 25 to 35% Tennessee fans at this game.
Should be.
But have you, I mean, it's a playoff game, but still, have you ever heard of a road traveling crowd like that? I mean, it's not hard for Tennessee to get up there, but JT, that's why
it's rare.
Yeah, this is how bad that they're doing. Tennessee people are running the mouth, which is kind of, you wonder if they're going to, you talk a lot of trash. If it doesn't work out, you got to pay. But this was one that I saw around earlier. Come on, do something. Ohio State fans are silent.
Mm-hmm.
They are silent. They are not talking back. I mean, you got the athletic department complaining, like we're complaining about, wanting to have fans in the seats, not Tennessee fans. Well, guess what? Welcome to the life of the Jacksonville Jaguars, where are the smaller market NFL teams, where every week the bigger market teams outnumber your fans. So, but that's not it, JT. That is not it. There is more to this story. Let me bring this article back up. Let's see. I'm just trying to get crap. It did that. All right. Let's see. That is not it. I'm just waiting for the website to get up. My computer's a little bit slow at times. So, all right. Let's see. Okay, here's the article. All right. Now, what do you think of Wikipedia?
Suspect. Okay.
Okay. Well, I talked about Tennessee trash talking all week. Well,
Sure.
Tennessee fans trolled Ohio State Stadium Wikipedia page.
Oh no.
Yes, that's how bad the Tennessee fans, especially after buying up the tickets, have gotten and all this stuff. And I'm going to read this to you. It is no longer on Wikipedia on that site like this. But let me see if I can blow this screen up a little bit more for you, because I think you're going to love about this. I think you're going to have. Are you ready, JT?
Yes, go for it.
Okay, Ohio Stadium, home of Ohio State Buckeyes. Is the horseshoe, the shoe. I didn't know it was also the house that Harley built, whoever that is.
Oh, well.
Well, take a look at the last one that was added. Nayland North. The Tennessee fans went to the Wikipedia page on Ohio Stadium and edited it to Nayland North. That's how big the trash talking has been this week by the Tennessee fans. And, they're confident. They're jacked up for this. So I'm like, I'm just laughing. And
Nice.
I was listening to the Tennessee, I made no secret. I listened to the Sports Animal out of Knoxville, and they're kind of like talking about it, and they're just kind of, and other people independent are like, the odd thing is that Ohio State fans who insist on the Ohio State, all this stuff, they're not saying anything. I mean, they're silent.
Right.
So what does it say? They're not confident? Are they? Some have said that it's that they're tired of Day and want him gone.
Yeah, hard to say. I mean, I'm not in and around Columbus, but after you lose to Michigan like that, who's not even ranked, it tends to really, it popped a big hole in your balloon.
Okay.
It's something where now they don't know if they're going to win because, you don't lose that kind of game and come away feeling like you got a fighting chance. I mean, you lost to Oregon too.
Yeah.
You squeaked away against Penn State.
Well, I tell you, that Oregon loss though was shady. They changed the rule with that because Dan Lenning, or I think Lenning, purposely ran a 12th player out there on the field, so it ran clock off. Normally it's a 10-second runoff on the offense, but he did it on purpose. He admitted to it. So they had to change the rule to allow the offense to put the time back on the clock instead of a 5-yard penalty. Because 5 yards for Ohio State on the previous play, they still ended up with like 6 seconds left in the game instead of about 15.
Right.
So, if he ain't cheating, he ain't trying. And it was within the rules of the game, but still, he got addressed. So, all right, I hate Oregon as an Oregon State Beaver fan anyway. So, shall we take a look at this week's games?
Yes.
All right. In the matchups that we have this week, I'm going to hold off on our brackets first. And I did say bowl game. I meant first round. So, pardon the mistype at the top of it. But hey.
Oh, yep. Here we go.
Yep. We got Indiana, Notre Dame. We both take Indiana in this one.
Interesting. Really? Really? I thought you were going to pick Notre Dame for sure.
No, I don't like Notre Dame's offense if they play a decent team. Now, the question is, does Indiana have any semblance of defense? We didn't see it against Ohio State.
Well, I'm so anti-Notre Dame that it's hard for me to feel objective. And you heard me say how badly I want Indiana to win. Yeah, that's because I'm not looking at this objectively. So,
I mean, everybody makes a big deal out of Notre Dame's quarterback. I'm not sold on that guy. That guy they brought in, and it's like, and their offense. I mean, the same one that scored 15 against Northern Illinois or 13, whatever they got. It just, when you play Army, Navy, and a lot of teams, of course you're going to start putting up points in those games. So but I would not be surprised to see Notre Dame win this game because Indiana could lay an egg again. So, but he's taking Notre Dame in this game. Wow, I'm not surprised. All right.
Yeah, but it's a 10-7. I mean, outside of saying the obvious, with an 8 and 9, I guess is technically closer. 10-7 all the time is a very
And it could be that type of game. This is an 8 o'clock game that's going to be very cold, more than likely. So, yeah. Although I tell you, the one time we went up to Cincinnati, it was like a heat wave. It was actually the coldest on the whole trip was in South Carolina. So go figure.
Buddy taking Notre Dame on that one.
All right, SMU at Penn State. You take Penn State. I'm taking the Mustangs on the road.
Really?
2 words: James Franklin. Sorry to Wes Cagle and Connie Cleary, but James Franklin has never won a game that mattered in his life. And I just, I mean, they barely escaped Minnesota a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
SMU. Now, last week I might not have said it in the first half of the SMU the ACC championship game, but SMU's comeback, it just, that put them in there. So I'm going to take the Ponies on the road for the surprise upset there.
Okay.
But James Franklin, I until he wins. See, I violated my rule this year. I picked Ole Miss to be an SEC championship game because I thought Lane Kiffin had finally turned a corner, finally did it. But guess what? Yeah, he beat Georgia, but he wet the bed against Kentucky and other games. Yes. And to the point where I don't necessarily want him as a Florida Gator head coach because he wasn't putting up 40, 50-point offensive games against the good teams. So, but he said it's a pick-up game, to be honest. But, folks, tell us who you think will win it. Either way.
See, I think they're going to hold it together at Penn State at home for precisely one game.
Yep.
And then we'll see with Boise State.
All right. Well, we're going to see with our brackets in a second.
Yes.
Clemson at Texas. As Nicholas Fondren said earlier, Clemson is beating Texas. I could see that happening with Cade Klubnik. I mean, he's really been impressive the last few weeks of the season and getting Clemson into the ACC championship game. They did lose to South Carolina, but it wasn't his fault. There were other issues on that team, which a lot of people say he's the best quarterback in the nation, that he's undervalued because of the team around him and everything else. And, of course, Dabbitt Sweeney and his insistence on not using the portal and other things. So I wanted to pick Clemson. But honestly, this game came down to not knowing much about Clemson's defense, and it's Austin, Texas.
Yes.
That's what did it for me with this one. All right. Then the game of the week, which we'll be talking about as it happens, Saturday night, Tennessee at Ohio State. We both take the Volunteers with this one.
Yes.
Rocky Top. I think this game's going to be very, very cold. This probably will be like a 17-10 game or 16-13 or even a 9-6 game. I think the weather, if it's a very, very cold game, it's going to affect both of these offenses. Look, Will Howard only put 13 up against Michigan. A kicker missed 2 field goals at home in that game.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Khalid one that was a chip shot.
Yeah. So, it was a classic choke job. It was impressive. I mean, unfortunate for the kid, but impressive how. Yeah. Anyway.
All right. Well, let's go into our brackets. So
I was just going to say, the danger of this, right?
Yeah. Go ahead.
One of us could get all of them wrong, and one of us could get just one of them right.
Yeah.
And then basically our brackets are busted straight out of the gate.
Well, that's what usually happens here. We go down in flames gloriously. So, Buddy or anybody else, if y'all want to pick who you think in these games, please tell us. Clemson, Texas, Tennessee, Ohio State. With that, JT, I'm going to get some water real quick. And you can discuss your bracket real quick. And this is JT, and then we can talk about anything. If you have any other comments about seeding or who got in or not, go ahead and take this chance to talk about it.
Okay. Let's see here. Could you make that bigger before you leave? Just a little bit if you can. Thank you. Okay, that's great. Thanks. Okay, folks. So first round, we pretty much already covered all of that, where I had Texas, Tennessee, Penn State, and Indiana. So that takes us out of the first round, and then you're looking at week 2 in the quarterfinals for the Peach Bowl, Rose Bowl, Fiesta Bowl, and Sugar Bowl. Now, when I looked at this, I said, okay, I think Texas is going to have momentum coming out of that win with Clemson, and Arizona State's an unknown for me. And that 5-4 matchup is going to be tough to decide. I think Texas might win by less than 7 on that. I think it's going to be very close, but we'll see. There's always that nice part about having that first week bye for healing up and getting ready, watching film, that type of thing. Hard to say other than that, because we don't know what Texas is going to do against Clemson. If Texas has a ton of injuries, that doesn't look good, but hey, that's the risk you take. Next up is the Rose Bowl. Now that one's a classic one for me, being a Big Ten fan. It's sad, not well. I guess Oregon is a Big Ten team, but then you have an SEC team in there and no Pac-12 team. So looking at Tennessee and Oregon, I think Oregon is probably, well, not probably, they are going to the championship. I think they're just too strong and been too dominant in too many games. Not to say that they are perfect, but I just think they take the lead out from Tennessee probably in the second half, late in the third quarter. I think they'll start to pull away. It's just going to be one of these where talent overcomes, stamina or any of that other hard work. So now I know Dadman will probably want to press me on that pick later. So hopefully when he gets back soon, we can have
back. Which one?
Tennessee, Oregon.
Yeah. Well, hey, you could go either way. I mean, Oregon has slipped by after close calls early in the season against Idaho at home, and the Boise State. So
I just think it's a case of talent overwhelming too much in too many areas on one-on-one matchups with Tennessee.
Okay.
And that's what's going to end up doing it. Not the coaching, not the effort or desire. I think it's going to be just, you have the Bulls playing some other team in the 90s, and the Bulls are just going to get it done, So, yeah. From there,
a couple comments I have right in here.
Sure.
Before I go over to mine, the transfer portal's rearing its head again. Tennessee will be without a few backups, not really frontline starters, but their depth will be reduced a bit with the transfers. But the biggest news out of all these is Penn State. The backup quarterback, and I don't remember his name, but the guy that played behind Aller, transferred. He's in the portal. He will not be in this game. And he was their running quarterback. He will not be playing in the game.
I totally disagree with that move 100% because how often does a quarterback get injured?
What about the competitive nature of being an athlete?
Right.
But just because one guy's coming back next year, Aller could suck next year, could have a major injury or something. You're one snap. How many backup quarterbacks? There have been backup quarterbacks on Florida's roster that got even a backup job in NFL. I mean, backup quarterbacks have been starters in the National Football League.
Right.
I mean, it's like they all feel like they have to be the man and the starter. And it's like,
and the chances of them getting the starting quarterback getting hurt in any of these games is fairly decent at the end of the season. You would think if you have a chance in the semifinals.
There is no bigger question mark right now than Georgia. Nobody knows what the status of Carson Beck is. Did you see how that game went? What happened with his arm?
No, I did not.
His elbow just got demolished. They kept saying it was a hand, but I swear it was his elbow because that's where they were icing it. The quarterback, the sophomore or the junior, he's a sophomore that came in and ran, actually carried them to victory. Actually performed much better than Carson Beck did. He got the helmet knocked off on down inside the 5-yard line right at the end of the game, or in overtime. It was in overtime, and so Carson Beck. They didn't trust the backup third stringer to come in. Beck, with his arm hung down, took a couple practice snaps. Beck, with his arm walking out there all limp straight down to the side, takes a snap, just hands it off. They get the winning touchdown. The last I've heard, they don't know. Nobody has said anything. He's talking to doctors and everything else. Like you said, Penn State, one injury to Drew Aller, and you're going to be down to a third string quarterback.
Right, right.
Or
So why
four.
is second string quarterback would you leave going into the playoffs? It makes it, well, I understand why they did it, but I
But for
totally
1 year,
disagree.
for 1 year.
Yep. Hmm.
I mean, you're guaranteed to be the backup next year at least. You got playing, and it's not like he didn't get playing time this year.
Right, right.
He got playing time. They put him in throughout the year, and it was part of their offense.
Yeah.
So
Now, see, in how my bracket I have drawn out here, you said Georgia's the big question. I think they just have the easiest route in
yeah,
because
they do.
Boise State, I don't think is going to last. If they somehow take out Penn State, oh well, Georgia's going to take out Boise State.
Yeah.
Is Georgia going to have to play Indiana? Probably. They're going to be able to take down Indiana. I think
I think
Georgia's
they could
better
take
than
Notre
Ohio
Dame
State.
easily. Yeah,
I think Georgia's better than Ohio State. I think Georgia's better than probably a beat up Penn State at that point because I don't think that team, if they even make it that far, is going to be able to do that. Where you look at the top half of this bracket, I just think you have a lot more brutal competition.
yeah.
The Tennessee Ohio State game, Texas Clemson, Tennessee Oregon, Texas Oregon. The only one I don't think people are going to watch is that Arizona State Texas game. At least personally, I have no interest in the Peach Bowl.
But that game could be fun if Arizona plays like they have this year. That could be a fun game to watch. But Tennessee fans, their radio station today was talking about that they had the hardest bracket on the way down, and I agree. Mm-hmm. Everybody in that top part has a harder road. Georgia, to me, has the easiest road.
Yes, by far. So, and that's why I picked them as the national champions. Also, just I think it would be fun to see them win and not Alabama and just hear the screaming and the gnashing of teeth all the way up here from that happening. But
so that we can start to close up.
Sure. Let's get your bracket going.
Yeah, because if you want to hear Alabama fans really screaming and welling, they would do it not if Georgia wins, but if Tennessee Volunteers take the national championship.
Oh, nice.
Yes. Nice. I still, like I said, close call, but Texas should beat Clemson in Austin. I take SEC homered there with Texas over Arizona State, but Arizona State's not a bad team. They're really, really good. Tennessee, Ohio State. This game, Ryan Day, if he would use Quinshon Judkins the way it should be used, which involves a little bit more running, a little bit more running than what they like to do, he might find something used. Quinshon Judkins was huge at Ole Miss. But he's been barely heard from up in Ohio. So just because you get more money doesn't mean you're going to have more success. But I see Tennessee. If Tennessee if they can stay in the game early, not commit the turnovers, if that defense, I can see their defense smashing Ohio State after what I saw. Will Howard in that really weak offense for Ohio State play against Michigan. Tennessee's got a much better defense. They're solid. They're not missing many players. The biggest key, though, for Tennessee could be is if Ohio State does take advantage of the middle of the defense of Tennessee. Peely was their middle linebacker, and he got injured, blew out his knee against the Florida game. And Tennessee's run defense has suffered a bit since he was out.
Right.
So SMU, like I said, I think SMU. Let me finish top of the bracket. Well, Texas, like I said, I could see Arizona State winning, but SC homered. Wait, I made a mistake. On bracket.
I did. I was going to mention that. Yeah.
Here. Well, we fix these things as we see it. There you go. Tennessee. I think I forgot to copy it from the other side, but
right.
Tennessee. I'll be honest. I think in this game of the Rose Bowl, I think Tennessee beats Oregon by 10 points.
But it just messed with my brain.
Yeah,
because I was like, well, this is the Pac-12 Big Ten matchup, right? Going on for decades. But you have a Big Ten team in there by Oregon, and not a Pac-12 team, but Oregon was the Pac-12 Yeah,
I
you
think
can
they had it
see
years
where
ago for when
my wires were crossed,
I
right?
think it was the Vince Young national title. I think it was Texas and USC or Texas and somebody from the Pac-10 or Big 12, Big
Hmm.
10 that were out there in the Rose Bowl. Yeah, it makes no sense. It's like seeing Indiana in the Sugar Bowl with Georgia. Like that's weird. So I'm basically Tennessee, and I tell you, Tennessee playing Texas again. I think what's going to happen, Tennessee's defense is going to carry this team to the national title. Whatever they can get from Nico Iamava makes it even better for them. The main thing is the ball control and not turning the ball over. Dylan Sampson is the leading rusher, had a huge year, but in the last few weeks he's been victimized by turning the ball, putting the ball on the ground for Tennessee. He's had some big running efforts, but he's also turned the ball over. Um, going to the bottom of the bracket, SMU. Like I said, James Franklin, I'm not sold on, but I have SMU. I think Boise State beats SMU going away in the Fiesta Bowl. This probably Fiesta Bowl may be ugly. I think Boise State is very talented, and especially with Judy, the running back, is just
Hmm.
amazing. Indiana, Notre Dame. I'll take Indiana on the road for the upset, but this is usually when the time Notre Dame pulls it out. Georgia, regardless of the quarterback, I think beats Indiana between the running game and their defense. I think Indiana. This will be like a 24-30-3 game or 6. Indiana couldn't score on Ohio State. They're not going to score on Georgia. I just
Right.
and Georgia does have a dominant defense still. So it brings Boise State, Georgia. I think the problems at quarterback for Georgia appear in this game. Plus, also, as my oldest kid that's up there in Athens has noticed for their own team that the Georgia running defense has struggled in recent weeks as the season's gone along because of injuries and other reasons. The running defense for Georgia is not what it was earlier in the year or in past years. And with Judy with Boise State, it's an opportunity for Boise State to because bad quarterback play. Carson Beck, if he is healthy, you can't keep throwing 2 or 3 picks a game and expecting to win at this level in this situation. So, and at the backup, I tell you, at the backup that came in the SEC championship game, I hope they would win the whole thing because it's a great story for the kid. But
Right.
he will be there next year. He's got next year. So I look at Boise State to beat Georgia. I'm assuming Carson Beck is not going to be here. And hello, I can't sing it tonight. You want to sing it
Hail
for
lemon
me?
pie. I
You want to sing?
cannot sing it either.
Hello,
I
lemon pie. Hello, citrus. Would the missus have me sing that one with the shower song with the uncle in Home Alone 2 earlier? Oh, it was beautiful because having a bad voice like this was perfect cover. So, but good to see you tonight, lemon pie. I
I'll
hope you're
drop in
doing
all the
well.
emojis that I normally drop in. There
Yeah,
we go.
that works. So, all right. So, and of course, Tennessee, Boise State. I'm going SEC with the Tennessee champion, Tennessee Volunteers, winning the national title, and there you go. Rocky Top, though, faces the chance of having 3 national champions within the same year, sports year. Well, I guess I don't know, but 3 concurrent national champions. They could
Hmm.
have the reigning baseball champions because they just won the Men's College World Series. Could have the national title in men's football, and also they're number 1 ranked in college basketball right now. So they could possibly have the national titles all at the same time in the 3 major sports. So, hey, I wonder if I ought to put that on Twitter and see what kind of reaction it gets. But
Be
anyway,
interesting for sure.
yes. All right.
So,
Well, that's all I have tonight, JT. You got any final thoughts?
no, I think my brain is thoughted itself out.
Well, we tried to break this up into 2 streams, folks, but
Wasn't going to happen. It
I
just,
know you have a
yeah.
commitment tomorrow night. We weren't guaranteed 11. I scheduled something for tomorrow night too, but then Thursday didn't work. It was one of those things we had to force at night because I was after I talked to JT, we were going to do the college football playoff on Saturday, and then I'm like, hey, 3 of the 4 games are going to be over by then. So,
Right.
went ahead and
Yeah.
crashed all tonight. Thank you, JT, for your patience.
Oh,
Thank
you're
you.
very welcome.
Yeah, I got any last thoughts before I close?
No. No. Other than that, do you want me to share where I'm going to be rest of the week?
Yeah, if you'd like to, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay. Tomorrow night I'll be on with Dave C over on his channel. in the evening. Should be 9 p.m. to start. We're going over some
Hey, did I
comics.
show our brackets,
Oh,
by the way?
you did.
Okay, I'm just making
You
sure
did.
because I'm bad about that. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, over at Dave C at 9 p.m. Eastern tomorrow night, we're doing an ad week where we go through the ads that were in the Battlestar Galactica series from the late 70s to 1980, and going over some old school advertisements and comics, talking about them, reliving some stuff, making some jokes, just having a great time. So that should be a lot of fun. Then Friday, maybe hanging out on other streams, but I know I'll at least be with Mark D with the C on Late Night Fortnite. And then Saturday, I'll be right back here with Dadman doing some college football talk.
And like
So
I
that'll be a
said,
good
we'll be
time.
putting the Tennessee Ohio State game on and giving some updates as the game progresses. So then we'll do a quick look at the other three games. Um, hopefully we get good games this year. So, all right, I need to wrap this up, get some more hot
Sure.
tea and stuff. The 12 movies of Christmas continue the next 2 nights with the missus on her channel at 8 p.m. JT, do you mind putting her channel link in, or if you can
Sure.
find us real quick, and do her if you have the Ko-fi, or Buddy, if you're still there, get her Ko-fi links. I want to pitch that a little bit. Tomorrow night we'll be talking about the movie Scrooge. Go back and listen to what we did tonight with Home Alone 2, all these other movies. It's been really a fun, interesting time. But also Bill Murray's Scrooged tomorrow night, and then on Thursday is Claus. JT, I know you don't pay, you don't have Netflix, but if it's on Netflix, Clauses, but if you can
Mhm.
ever get your hand on a copy of it, I think it would be a good family movie.
Oh, okay.
We were really impressed with
Let's
this
see.
movie. We saw it with the girls a few years ago.
It's animated?
Yes, and even me being a cynical son of a bitch, I liked it. I thought it was a nice message, nice everything. So
Cool.
uh,
And you could have, it's like rated G
yes,
for
yeah,
the little ones. Okay.
I believe the little ones. I believe. Dude, go ahead and double check on even if Wikipedia. Yes, I believe it is. It's a true Christmas story message.
Cool.
It really was good. So all right, so let me get done with this. Okay, I'm planning on this tomorrow night at 11, but we'll see. This one may fall off depending on how I feel tomorrow night. Tonight was hellacious. I mean, 2 streams, but
You made it. You
yeah, I
made it
know.
though.
Well, the problem was I ended up having to speak to a family member for like an hour before the Mrs. stream, which was unexpected. And then I had to talk to somebody after. It's like
Mhm.
use my voice a lot more than I planned tonight. But hey, if I didn't, it'll plan on Wednesday and maybe Friday night again. So we'll see what happens. But Friday would be at 10. Chill chats or something happen when I go live just randomly. Fortnite fun. I still do this sometimes as I can, but right now the movie streams are taking up our time. And by 10 or 11 o'clock, I'm not in the mood to play Fortnite. Of course, this is on my links, Deadman Walking 55 here on YouTube and Twitch and on X. You also get your notifications. Also follow me on X because that's where I can actually do a lot to also give you notices when YouTube and Twitch are not working. So, all
Your
right.
buddy's
So
got all the links down. You did a great job.
absolutely. So, of course, there's the Mrs. channel there. That's the link to tomorrow night. Now, don't forget 10 o'clock in the morning. She's planning on doing her daily show at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, as long as her voice holds out. So, I hope that y'all can make that. String by say hi. She's only she was 10 away from 300 subscribers. Now it's 289. So, go get her over 300. That'd be wonderful. To see her do that. So join her tomorrow night. Join us tomorrow night or her in the morning tomorrow. She may do Fortnite tomorrow night at 5 the Thursday night. Well, wait, tomorrow's Wednesday. No, never mind. But as Buddy said, you can support on Ko-Fi one time our monthly donations. Look, and she keeps more of the money than if she was monetized on YouTube. It's a secure site, secure way to do stuff. It's a way to contribute to help support. StreamYard costs have gone up. The time she puts in stuff, you do not. And she scripted out all this stuff for our movie reviews. I mean, she spends a ton of time producing great graphics and great show. So all that you can do to help encourage her with that too. But like she said, don't do it if you can't afford it. But yeah, please do that on Ko-Fi or an alternative, a throne list where you can actually buy an item for her, either to support the streams or to be used in the streams, builds and stuff like that. So or you can help crowdfund it. It's basically where you pay some towards it. She'll get a notification as people pitch in, then ultimately it'll pay for the item. So. All right, and of course, Buddy says you can send cards, treats, and giftable items to her and me and Ang at PO Box 26603, Jacksonville 32226. All right. Thank you, buddy. Like
Cool.
JT said, thank you, JT. JT, thank you for your patience again. And I want to say a wonderful thank you and shout out to my wife for coming on and getting this stream started where people were not waiting. But hey.
Yeah.
All right.
She was awesome. So
yes, she was. And we got a little band talk.
Started.
We got a little band sports talk going.
We did.
So like I said, maybe one day we'll finally make that stream happen. So all right. On that note, folks, go to bed. I am. Y'all have a good night. Catch you later. Bye, all.
Bye, all.
Let me see. I got to hit the right button now. Get two screens. There we go.